The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is August 28th, 2020. This is episode 236. And today we have a very special one. It's Elon Musk's Neuralink live stream. And you know me, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to another episode of a live podcast event. I'm going to call it an event.
An event? Yeah, we haven't done too many events, Gonz, but today's a big day. If you don't know, you might know by the misspelled title on Twitch.
Is it misspelled?
Yeah, it's okay.
Great.
It says Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
I'll get the algos won't catch us then, or it'll be harder for them to catch us.
You know what? Actually, Twitch makes it so easy. You can just fix it live. I'm going to do it right now.
All right. Yeah. Your eyes twitching, your googly eyes twitching on it.
I know. It's been flopping around lately. I think this one eye is getting ready to give up on us. But, that's just, I think it's had enough of this 2020 nonsense. My big googly eye is trying to escape.
Excellent.
So, Gonzo, we've got, what's the actual timer? What do we have?
It's going to be,
it goes live at 3
p.m. Pacific. We have the channel ready to go here. Live stream begins in about 34 minutes. So we'll run through a couple stories at the top, and then we'll get into it once the live stream begins. But yeah, looking forward to it, man. I'm excited to do this live with y'all.
Yeah,
and just be commenting
we'll see what
on it.
happens. There's always a potential for technical difficulties. We think we have it figured out. We have moved on to phase 2 also of fixing our technical issues. That has me dropping out of the call every once in a while. So it's a little bit of an experimentation, but we got a half hour. And so, Gonz, I think we should we have a couple stories that we're going to hit just to let everybody know that we see them, and we'll talk about them. And also we got to fill a half hour before the live stream starts.
Yep.
So hold on a second. Sorry, I don't have my hand here. Let's start out with a Flippy update, Gonz.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. Okay, folks. So the Flippy update. For those who don't know, if this is your first time listening to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. And we use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to talk about robotics and AI and how they are worming their ways into our lives to create, ultimately, the dystopian apocalyptic future where Skynet is our sugar daddy. So today, let's see here. We are, sorry, I had a piece of macaroni in my teeth. Digitaltrends.com, and the headline reads, "This tiny robot tank could one day help doctors explore your intestines." Ooh. With a bulky, armored appearance, heavy-duty treads for gripping, and a claw arm in the front, the Endoculus, the Endoculus robot vehicle looks like it belongs on the battlefield. In fact, it's just 3 centimeters wide and 2.3 centimeters tall, and designed for an entirety of different inhospitable environment, which is your intestines. Quote, "This robotic capsule endoscope, Endoculus, is a tethered robot designed for colonoscopy applications." Oh no. Mark Rentschler, a mechanical engineering professor in the Advanced Medical Technologies Laboratory at the University of Colorado, told Digital Trends, quote, "The goals are twofold: design a platform for a robot endoscope in the gastrointestinal tract and enable autonomous capabilities to assist physicians with disease diagnosis diagnosis and treatment during these procedures. The idea of a robot tank crawling around your intestines at speed of up to 40 millimeters per second might sound pretty horrific, but nothing about a regular colonoscopy sounds particularly pleasant either. The benefit is purely in the ability to figure out what's going on in your guts and to take samples where required. This is where Endoculus's tool port comes into play, since it can be kitted out with instruments such as forceps and snares to take any tissue samples that are required. According to an article in IEEE Spectrum, it's also equipped with a camera, LED lights for finding its way, and tubes for injecting air and water. It's one of a number of breakthrough medical robots that have emerged over the past several years and could prove incredibly useful for doctors and patients alike. Below is a demonstration of the robot in action. I don't know if you want to play that video there. Hopefully it's not too disturbing for our younger viewers. Oh no, it's a very technical video here. The article continues, Rentschler said that so far the team has built the Endoculus platform and, quote, established a number of effective autonomous capabilities using this platform on the bench top with animal tissues. They are now figuring, long story short, little tiny cute little robot tank can now enter through the exit and crawl around inside your intestines and figure out what's wrong. This is a next level for these medical robots, man.
Yeah, first they flip your burgers, then they clean your colon. This just robot takeover is real, folks.
I mean, they make yeah, I know. This brings the robot takeover to a whole nother level. Dang it. Hold on. My VR has decided that it wants me to reset everything, so I'm going to try to do that as smoothly as possible. But yeah, Gons, luckily I have not gotten to the period of life where I need that kind of checkup. But it seems like by the time I'm there, the old ways of colonoscopies or I'm sure there's some other exams that they're going to use for that as well, will be gone. And I just get a nice little robot who can go in there and check things out.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on this. There's already a few disturbing stories regarding toiletries in this episode.
Come on. It's robots, man. This is how they get you. First they flip your burgers, and then they go check them out while they're in process of digesting.
Taking care, humans are just a tube inside a tube, if you really think about it.
Wow. Whoa, bro. We're a torus.
We are. That's what my science teacher told me.
Toroid or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to say on this gadgetry?
No, I think it speaks for itself, Gonzo.
Wait, is Endoculus... Okay, it's not going to be wired up, is it? That would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does. It has a leash.
Oh,
it
no.
has a leash.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I kind of would prefer it to have a leash.
Like an exit thing? But what if the leash fails, or you try to pull out and it's breaks off?
If something happens to that leash, there is something seriously wrong that I need to worry about.
It's like
going on in my intestines.
It's like Stranger Things, or the holiest of holies. You tie a rope around their waist, go in there.
Ooh, wow! Yeah. What are they saying about the temple of the Lord?
Yep, there you go. Putting it all together. Okay,
no.
moving on here. We got some quick updates that I want to fly through.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
It's gotta be biblical.
First one here is just an announcement. 7 Pretrib Problems and the Pre-Wrath Rapture documentary. This was made by Chris White. It's officially out now, so you guys can check it out. The website is 7, pretribproblems.com. I'll drop it in the links or the chat, and the link will be in the description of the show, canarycrynewstalk.com. Got through about halfway. It's pretty good. It's, again, anybody who's a pre-trib rapture guy out there, do your due diligence and see test your views on some of these arguments made by these scholars and authors and stuff in this documentary. So just wanted to make that announcement because I know Chris White's been working on that for a while.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about that guy.
Yeah.
And we only know so much, but it's been, what is it? It's kind of his first piece of work in a while, besides the, is it the mark of the beast decision tree?
Right, the decision tree. Well, he's still publishing podcast episodes, but...
got it.
But yeah, this is a good documentary so far anyway that I've seen, and it's very straightforward. It's you got to have your Bibles out because you got to check all the passages and do your own due diligence, be a good Berean, but thought I'd let you all know because it's a long time coming. I feel bad that the announcement of 7 Pretrib Problems is sandwiched between a couple different stories regarding just the human body.
COVID.
We called it on some of these issues here with toilets and stuff. New York Post, I know, NewYorkPost.com. COVID-19 can waft through toilets into other apartments. Study finds.
Oh, no.
You okay?
Sorry, my chair.
I can't tell if it was...
I pulled the wrong lever on my chair. Continue, I'll figure this out.
Can't tell if you're disturbed about the story or if your own... Oh, you're like... Wow, you're okay. I don't know. I don't want to know what's going on over there. Okay.
I'm trying to lift my chair.
Sure.
I'm so tiny. There we go. Okay, I'm back.
Are you sure you're not just like a test for the in what was it called?
Tell me about the toilets, Gons.
All right. And you thought snakes in a toilet was a nightmare? Scientists now say the coronavirus may be able to spread throughout buildings via toilets and drain pipes, an especially alarming prospect for apartment dwellers with suspect plumbing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not going to get into it, but remember we had that story a few weeks ago of the Israeli company that's going to go through the sewage?
Yeah, the sewer surveillance for COVID-19.
Yeah, I think this is like the precursor to unleashing that technology on some of these locations.
Dude,
it's like
this
the problem.
Is ridiculous. How does the physics of that even work?
I don't
know. You have read the article. Tell me, what do they have to say?
China suggested virus particles potentially wafted from the infected family down the pipes into the vacant apartment, according to researchers at the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention. There you go.
No,
it's the Chinese CDC.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. But this is of course. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Now we got to be afraid of our own toilets.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's some people out there who will... I'm very curious to know what drastic measures they will take in order to not have COVID come at them through the toilet.
Bag them up.
Bag
them up and
out to the
release.
backyard.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's just it. I don't really need to... We don't need to go on with this. These are quick updates here.
All right.
All right, a couple 33 updates.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33, the signal that the
elite messaging number.
Elite messaging. WKOW.com. 33 hospitalized, 11 more deaths due to COVID-19 in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, center of attention here. I want to play this 18-second clip because, interestingly, they don't mention the number 33, but they do mention another number that I know people have always messaged me about seeing the clock at 11:11. So let me play this real quick.
2 counties in southern Wisconsin have more than 20 new cases of coronavirus. Greene and Rock counties all had at least 10 new cases. Across the state, 11 more people died from COVID-19 since this time.
Uh-oh. What happened? Come on.
I have no idea.
Come on, video.
New cases. Across the state, 11 more people died from COVID-19 since this time yesterday, bringing the total deaths to 1,111.
11.
I wonder if this is like a transition from the 33, We'll start seeing the 11, or the, the 3x or divided 3. 11. Anyway, just thought it was interesting.
That is very interesting. Wow. Okay, yeah. Cool.
11 more deaths, 11 total. All right, so the other location by which a lot of the attention of the country has been is Minnesota. Of course, we have a 33 update from there.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
This is, I don't know how to read that one. Duluth News Tribune, I think.
Sounds right.
33 more people with COVID-19 reported across the Northland Thursday. 33 more people have tested positive for COVID-19 across the Northland on Thursday. The Minnesota Department of Health reported 31 new cases of COVID-19. Oh, I guess this is St. Louis. My bad. I thought this was Minnesota. I was reading it too quickly. All right. Well, anyway, either way, of course, 33 more people. It's always 33. Why not 34? Why not 32?
Got to report it right at 33.
Right at 33. It's the signaling.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Those are your quick updates. And
very good.
Yeah.
Now we're just zooming right along here, folks. Actually, we're doing okay on
doing
time,
okay.
so that's good. We're gonna have enough time to hit all this. So of course we are aware of the Jacob Blake situation, and of course we are also aware of the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. We'll try to give some first comments on the Kyle thing later on in the show. But, again, if you're new to the show, here's the reason why you want to watch. We're not just another show talking about every crazy conspiracy theory that comes across our desk here. What we like to make sure to do is examine the mainstream headlines and the articles in the way that they are written. Because when you actually dig deep and do some analysis, you can see how the propaganda, the legal propaganda, and the brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, control mechanism of the mainstream media, how exactly they go about their business of controlling not just a mainstream narrative, but also the thoughts of people, the population at large. So I'm coming here from amp.indystar.com. However, I did see this exact headline and more or less the same article show up across the spectrum of mainstream news. So, name a mainstream news place, and they all had the same article. But the headline is fact check. Jacob Blake did not, and then in quotes, brandish knife, get gun before Kenosha police shooting. So we're talking about the Jacob Blake shooting. We gave our first thoughts about it last episode. My thoughts have already shifted slightly since then. We'll see if we get into that. We might save a lot of the deeper conversations for next episode. But this article says, this is like a fact-checking article, so it's structured a little different. But it says says Jacob Blake declared he had a gun in the car and was going to go get it and was brandishing a knife. As we wait for full Wisconsin Department of Justice report on the Jacob Blake shooting, speculation has run rampant. There you go. Speculation, keep that in mind, has run rampant online about whether the 29-year-old Kenosha man was armed and with what in the moments before a Kenosha police officer shot him 7 times in the back. The lack of detailed information from law enforcement has only added to the speculation. That includes a widely shared August 26 Facebook post that starts out blaring "Facts matter" before asserting this, which is, quote, Jacob Blake declared he had a gun in the car and he was going to go get it. He continued to brandish the knife while disregarding officer commands. When he reached into the car, officers fired. This is why they are burning down Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. Fact or fiction? We'll break down the rumors and send fact checks to your inbox. Oh, that's a little...
You got caught reading an advertisement for them.
They got me with that advertisement. It was accompanied by a screen grab from an onlooker's video of Blake where an object in his hand is circled. Here's what we know. There was no gun. The Facebook post avoids directly claiming a gun, instead attributing statements to Blake about having and getting a gun. We don't know what was said, and we may never know since the responding officers weren't wearing body cameras. suspicious part of the story. The Kenosha Police Department doesn't use them. Audio in the cell phone video shot by a witness is hard to discern due to bystanders' shouts. So there's no way to prove this part of the claim directly, though no witness reports have emerged since the incident that offer this account. The man who made the Facebook post did not respond to a request for evidence behind the claim. But we know there was no gun. Well, okay. You just said, we don't know and there's no evidence and we're waiting for a police report. So how would you know there's no gun? But okay, let's continue. On August 26, news release from the Department of Justice said officers found a knife on the driver's side floorboard, but a, quote, search of the vehicle located no additional weapons. Okay, there we go. So that report says no gun. Now, knife involvement still ambiguous, and this is where it gets pretty wild. The role of the knife is much less clear. The DOJ has not clarified whether the knife was on the floorboard throughout the confrontation or if Blake may have held it at some point. Spokeswoman Jillian Drummond declined to answer that question when asked by USA Today on August 27th. Video taken by onlookers shows something in Blake's hand, but the resolution is low, so it could be a knife, sunglasses, or something else. The man who said he made the widely shared cell phone video of the shooting 22-year-old Rayshon White told the Associated Press he heard officers yell, drop the knife, as they scuffled with Blake before the shooting. White said he didn't see a knife in Blake's hands. The audio captured by White is inconclusive, although there is a phrase or two that could be interpreted as drop the knife. Okay. Blake's representatives have said he was unarmed. His father told the Chicago Sun-Times for an August 25th story, "My son didn't have a weapon. He didn't have a gun." Blake's attorney, Ben Crump, said in a statement released August 27th, quote, "Jacob did nothing to provoke the police." Well, we know that's not true. Witnesses confirmed that he was not in possession of a knife and didn't threaten officers in any way. But another attorney representing the Blake family, Patrick Salvey Jr., had told CNN the day before that Blake didn't have a weapon in the vehicle, which turned out not to be true. Yeah, I know. Notice how they're taking the statements of the lawyer as fact. They're not straight out saying it's fact, but they're presenting it in a way that, if you're just reading this and you have not a critical eye, you would assume that that is the truth. What we do know is that referring to Blake as brandishing appears to be an exaggeration. Now, this is where it gets wild, because guns, of course, we've all seen the screen grab, the clips, the pictures, the stills, that people have taken that clearly show. I mean, it's pretty. I don't know what else it would be if not a knife.
Sunglasses.
There's some
sunglasses,
pretty crazy looking sunglasses, if those are sunglasses. But it does appear to have a knife, and but you don't take that as fact because still shots can be photoshopped. Sure. And I tracked down many different versions of the video in different places, and it is in the video. You can, if you go frame by frame, you can clearly see he is holding the alleged knife, I guess we can call it. So it was not photoshopped in. The article continues. Video of the shooting shows Blake walking around the front of the car with his back to the officers and his left arm swinging at his side, grasping some object. Brandishing, and this is where it gets wild, brandishing is defined by Merriam-Webster as, quote, to shake or wave something such as a weapon menacingly. That's not what the video shows. Our ruling, false. We have no way of knowing for sure what Blake said, but we do know there was no gun, and we don't yet know if the knife police later found in the SUV was there throughout the confrontation or held by Blake at some point. Because, of course, we can't trust video evidence of this, but Blake was not brandishing anything in the video taken by the bystanders. Due to the lack of evidence establishing these claims at this point, we rate this claim false. So what they are actually rating is the existence of a gun, which the report said there was not, but they take umbrage with the vocabulary that he was brandishing the knife. Now, when we say brandishing a knife, my mind, I'm not saying the definition, but my mind says, oh, he's holding a knife. It is presented. It is there. It can be perceived. That means it's brandishing. But they break it down to such a point where he's not shaking it or waving it. He's just holding it, means he's not brandishing it, and therefore calling it a false claim, which, of course, in an analysis type situation, is pretty manipulative. Of course, if you're a headline jockey, which a lot of people are, where you just read the headline and you just go off from there, you read this headline, fact check, Jacob Blake did not brandish knife, then you are led to believe that he was indeed unarmed. Which, just goes against the video evidence. I don't know why this is...
Not just the video evidence, but the witness saying, oh, I heard the cops say drop the knife.
Right. And it gives more, it makes more sense because in the video, as you can see, Blake was actually at one point in a scuffle with the police.
Right.
And they let him up, which was very strange.
We talked about that in the last episode, and I think it makes sense that he might have pulled it out at that point, because if he pulled out a knife while they're trying to arrest him, and after they tased him, then the cops would back off and say, whoa.
Yeah, that would be a reassessment part of the situation.
That would be a situation where the cops get up and kind of step back. So that makes sense. So I don't know. These headlines are just, it's adding fuel to the fire for people who believe that he was completely unarmed. And, again, it's just another, but this isn't the only one. I have this, do you have anything else to say about this one? Because I want to move on to the other one here.
No, yeah, we can feel free to move on.
Okay, we're running out of time before the live stream starts, but...
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so there's another one here.
The race wars.
Race wars. Race war.
I've warned you and warned you and warned you.
This is good old Snopes. Snopes, our favorite fact-checking website. Headline, was Jacob Blake charged with raping a child?
Oh, yeah, this is a big conversation, and just so I can get a word in at the beginning here, this whole criminal record thing is a dangerous game to play when it comes to police shootings, or even in the Kyle Rittenhouse, the teen shooter in Kenosha, because once you start playing the criminal record game, it's And I mean this specifically in the left-right paradigm type thing, because I see articles about Kyle and his AR-15 situation. People saying, oh, he has a criminal record. He has priors. And then, of course, you have people on the Blake conversation saying, oh, he has priors. Right. Here's the thing. A, you don't want to start comparing rap sheets, especially between these two. And B, you don't... obviously, priors does not excuse, having priors is not a death sentence.
Sure.
But it is used as character assassination, which I mean, not to say that it's not to be taken into account in many aspects of, the judicial system.
Right. Well, the only thing I'll say about that is that the cops knew about some of the past things as they allegedly, from what I understand. They were told that there was a warrant for his arrest, and on the record that shows that he had sexually assaulted. So it was part of, I don't know if they knew the details, but they definitely knew a warrant was out for his arrest. And I spoke to a neighbor who's a liberal. He's like a, lib-joe kind of guy, who was a cop for 20 something years. And he watched the video and he was like, oh yeah, totally reasonable to put 7 rounds in the guy, especially if he had a knife. And if there was a call out about him, and from I think the initial reports that came out, there was a call that was about him. That they pulled up his records, and it's called a 99. They just give you all the information about the guy, and so they would have known that this guy is under, had a warrant out, and so their approach would have been a little different in that regard. All that being said, this particular article with Snopes I thought was very interesting because, was Jacob Blake charged with raping a child? I'm not going to read through the whole thing because it gets kind of long here, but their assessment says false. Okay, but be very careful here because look at the way it's framed, okay? Was Jacob Blake charged with raping a child? And this comes from this another, social media post that pulled up his file case. Excuse me. That back on July 6th, there was a arrest warrant issued, or actually on the 7th. And among some of the issues that are listed, criminal trespass to dwelling, domestic abuse, third-degree sexual assault. And then underneath, it has the Title 11 criminal offenses, sexual assault. And it mentions, and somebody put this together, sort of photoshopped this together, I think. Person guilty of third-degree sexual assault if he or she is over the age of 18 years and engaged in sexual penetration with another person over the age of 14 years and under the age of consent, 16 years of age. And so that's where the social media went wild. And I gotta admit, I was even like, yeah, I heard that this, there was he had some sexual abuse cases against a minor. Well, they looked at the whole thing here, and they basically dig into that accusation, section 11-37-6, which was it was actually the Rhode Island general laws, which stated that the assault was underage, but the actual one from Wisconsin is different. So under Wisconsin, a third-degree sexual assault is quote, whoever has sexual intercourse with a person without the consent of that person is guilty of a Class G felony. Okay, so from what I understand, it wasn't that he assaulted someone underage. It was that he basically assaulted his ex-girlfriend, who I think he has some children with. And she reported the case because I guess he came over and, they forced himself upon her. And so I thought it was pretty interesting that Snopes would say, see, false. He didn't, he does not, he did not rape a child, but the other side of the story, what they're not telling you is that there is still a third-degree sexual assault case, a Class G felony, which in Wisconsin is...
Wait. Let me just so I'm following. So
okay.
It's a rhetoric thing of rape a child, but it was consensual. It was just with a consensual
minor. Well,
so it'd
yes.
be statutory rape.
Well, no. I don't think it really matters at this point because it wasn't with a minor, point blank. It wasn't with a minor. No, it was with his the assault, sexual assault that was filed against him was from his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, so it's just regular rape, not
it's just that's what I'm saying. It was just regular. Oh. It was a sexual assault, not underage sexual assault. Okay, so what I find interesting here is that according to the Wisconsin laws, a third-degree sexual assault in Wisconsin, third-degree sexual assault includes any other non-consensual sex. So non-consensual sex, and I apologize for the graphic nature of it here, but this is what it says in the law books. Ejaculating, urinating, or defecating on someone.
Okay.
That's what a Class G felony is, and that's what he is accused of here. And you can face 10 years in prison up to $25,000 fine. So, again, this is one of those straw man things where Snopes is like, oh, see, false. He did not rape a child. But what they're not really telling you is, or at least not really making a big point of is, but he actually, yes, he sexually assaulted his ex-girlfriend. But let's not talk about that a whole lot.
Interesting.
That's not the part that we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on tearing down this false claim by social media that he's some kind of pedophile or whatever. Which in the case of like a QAnon group, followers, that would confirm their bias. So it'd be quick for them to jump on like, see, he's a pedophile and this and that. So again, small details that can or won't or will confirm one side of the story or another, and Snopes trying to make it seem like all these issues and the actual files, the misdemeanor, not just misdemeanor, but the third-degree sexual assault thing, just minimizing it and trying to make it seem like, oh, it's not what they say. He didn't rape a child. Right. It's like, oh, okay, cool. He must have been a really good guy. But again, like you said, it's kind of mute for the whole event that happened. But because people are pulling it up,
The rhetorical Aikido.
Right. So there you go. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much more of it, but it's just crazy how the mainstream media is bringing up these stories in defense of Jacob Blake without any kind of...
And of course, we know that this is a lot of, a large portion of this is political, is because it needed to be, the timing is pretty crazy, how, of course, things were dying down with protests and riots. And of course, we needed, another instigation to keep it going through the election. And so the timing is, pretty convenient for the movement. And, but, of course, once this happens, you gotta defend the person. And of course, we're not saying, we have the law and the judicial system for a reason. Extrajudicial killings are not cool, but, there's always details that go on that get skimmed over when the conversation becomes too simple. So. Yep. All right, what are we looking on time? It's 3:51.
Oh, it's 2:51. 2:59. Sorry, it's 2:59. I don't know what clock you're looking at, but we got. Yeah, it's pretty much time to go here.
Settle down. Happening. Yeah, it's time to go. Let's check out the Neuralink thing. Do you have?
I'm gonna play some jingles. You okay with that?
Do it.
The 4 horsemen of the technocalypse.
Anytime you see the 4 horsemen, it's something special.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
We are connected. That's right. It's time, folks. We are here with the live stream of the Elon Musk's Neuralink system. Oh, I see it's loading there. So this is going to be our first time commenting on a live production. So, give us some grace as we try to figure out the best way to do it. But this is exciting for some background for those who are either new to the show, or maybe you listened a while ago and want a little update. Neuralink, we've been following since the beginning. It's a big player in the technocalypse, which is, our sort of future, our vocabulary for the dystopian technological future. When Neuralink was spun up by Elon Musk in 2016, with the intent to create mind-machine interfaces, we saw this as a major step towards, the dystopian future that we all are preparing for, where man and machine are joined as one, where iron mixes with clay, and how that plays into how we see, not just these times, but possibly the end times going down. And there you go. But you have some more background you want to give, Guns?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why this topic is so interesting is because looking at eschatology and looking at it from a like a biblical perspective, at least a fringe biblical perspective. This is not stuff that you're going to get from churches,
right?
And just your regular Sunday service. And that was a big part of my frustration. Anytime we'd bring up these types of topics, microchip in the brain. 2010, 2011, they'd be like, number 1, that's not going to happen. Number 2, if it does, sweet, I don't have to type anymore. I don't have to, whatever. These people that are pastors and stuff are all into that. But there are some passages in the Bible that really just make you wonder what might be going on in the future. And a lot of it sounds, the book of Revelation, a lot of people say that it's just crazy stuff that John saw on an island, or it's all nonsense. Or it's all analogy. But there are passages that are very interesting. And of course, we've talked about the mark of the beast and the image of the beast, and those things are definitely part of this conversation as well. But there's one that's really interesting that talks about in Revelation 9, and it's verse 6, and it's regarding the locusts that descended on the earth, that come out of the smoke, and and we talked about the cyborg locusts a couple episodes ago. But it mentions here in verse 6, in those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will escape them. And that, what could possibly be a type of situation where people are longing to die, but they can't? And, of course, you can just chalk it up to maybe a supernatural type of thing going on. But in the case of mind uploading and mind transferring and connecting
Elon Musk's whole ethos, basically.
His whole ethos of connecting your mind to an AI and all that kind of stuff, it could be describing something of a situation where your mind is attached to some kind of machine and you're stuck. You're unable to really die because you're being kept alive by this AI or whatever.
If your consciousness is uploaded, then you may not have control over unuploading it or deleting your consciousness, and you may, the dystopia of it is, if you were trapped after you had your mind uploaded and nobody was there to erase it, you would just live forever in this sort of cyber limbo that you could never get out of. And that's not even necessarily our idea. Even the proponents of mind-machine interfaces, uploading consciousness, things like that, consider that to be an aspect of it. But of course, they mostly think that that's a good thing. You'll live forever in your cyber heaven.
Right.
Now, this also connects with, what are we at now? Agenda 2045?
2030. Well, there's Agenda 2030, which is the UN thing, but I'll pull up the
2045 being the estimated date that we'll be able to upload our consciousness into the cloud.
Right. Yeah. 2040. I think it's 2045.com. I'm going to check. Russian mogul Dmitry Itskov, I believe was his name.
Yeah.
Came out with a whole project, 2045 Avatar project. And basically, this was back in 2012 when we were talking about this, 2012, 2013. And their goal between 2015 and 2020, a robotic copy of a human body remotely controlled via BCI, brain-computer interface. And so we're in 2020 here, and could this be part of the sort of demonstration of that, that part of the plan? And it says Avatar B 2020 to 2025, an avatar in which a human brain is transplanted at the end of one's life. And then from 2030 to 2035, an avatar with an artificial brain in which a human personality is transferred at the end of one's life. And then between 2040 and 2045, they want a hologram-like avatar where you just live on forever. And, we've had movies about this, Transcendence and other films that talk about this. And, the reason why we're looking at this from... at least for us, again, we're the fringes here. We're not really the mainstream when it comes to churchy people or whatever. Right. Is because it involves the topic of immortality. And when you talk about that, the big key thing with Christianity, the main point, not the religion surrounding it, but really the message and the reason why Jesus died and rose again, and the whole deal has to do with immortality. So when you start talking about machines bringing us to a state of immortality, it should alarm people in the church. It hasn't. It really, the most people in church are kind of just, they're just out there going to church on Sundays and whatever, that's fine. That's how you want to live. But, and this is why it's an alarming prospect. And I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting so many spam phone calls on my phone right now. I wonder if somebody doesn't like the fact that we're trying to live stream this thing.
I'm a little nervous you don't have the YouTube up on the screen there, because that's where I'm going to have to watch it too. I'm wondering, they're late, man.
They're just late, yeah.
They're late.
Well, fashionably late.
Yeah. Making us wait for it. Okay, we're good to keep talking about it then.
Kind of talking,
yeah, so this topic has really been a long-standing interest for us. We started podcasting in 2012 with our original show, Canary Cry Radio. We've got a lot of great episodes concerning transhumanism on Canary Cry Radio. You can find that on YouTube as well as any podcatcher. And so that's why today is such an exciting day. Neuralink being the first step in the on the road to uploading consciousness and many other aspects of transhumanism specifically. And I guess with the transhumanism conversation, that's one we've been having since the beginning. What does it mean to, improve human life with technology? What does it mean? Where is the line to be drawn between, corrective use of technology on the human body,
right,
or
an enhancement
of the human body without a medical need, those types of things, and really trying to figure out, the ins and outs of this conversation. I think we come at it with the spirit of trying to not be unnecessarily settled, but going through the constant process of discovering the path, the direction that transhumanism is going in, because transhumanist decisions are we're all going to have to make them.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about things like vaccines and wearing masks and things like that. These are the same the whole big hubbub right now about wearing a mask or vaccines and mandatory masks, mandatory vaccines. This is just a precursor to what we believe will definitely become part of a public conversation, in the next coming decades of, mandatory cybernetic improvements, or, forced, not just chipping, because you can do that today, but actual, like Neuralink, brain-computer interfaces. Will there even be computers that you can interface with in a traditional sense? Will interacting with technology, or at least in a economic sense, ever allow you to not have a brain interface ever again? I don't know. These are all things that we've been exploring for years now, and that's why today is a pretty exciting day for us.
Yeah, they're really taking their time too, making us wait. I thought Elon was one of those people that really likes to be on time,
I know. You know what? It's weird. I keep getting all these strange phone calls too.
Really? I'm getting tons, man. I'm getting
it's bugging me.
Yeah, I'm getting, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've had 7 spammy calls on my phone in the last 10 minutes.
Weird.
That is very weird. I mean, maybe Elon's trying to call us
I know.
from his Neuralink.
Like, I need you guys. I'm watching the live stream. I'm loving it.
Refresh, guys. Refresh.
Come on. It's there.
Another part of the conversation here, 1 Corinthians 15 is a really important chapter when it comes to this topic as well, because it really gets into just some of the theology of biblical eschatology and what happens to the body. I have some things highlighted here. Starting in verse 42, so will it be with the resurrection of the dead? What is sown is perishable. It is raised imperishable. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is a spiritual body. So it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit. Interestingly enough, the last Adam, or second Adam, referencing to Jesus. And then later on here, listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must be clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. Talking about the believers there. That's really interesting how they reference the human body as kind of like clothes. Like, it's just, it's perishable right now, but you're going to have an imperishable, immortal body, which is incredible to think about when you consider the topic of transhumanism and how they want to try to, basically push the human body to the limits as it is now. And, if we talk about hell, if you're going to be in hell, perhaps hell is having an eternal corruptible body. Like being stuck in a fallen state forever. And maybe that's part of the reference to the seeking death and not finding it as well.
Yeah, there is a sense in where the consciousness upload could be its own type of hell, depending on the the circumstances in there.
Right.
This is we didn't do this for the Cybertruck reveal.
We didn't. No.
Did you watch the Cybertruck reveal, or at least the clips, the
yeah,
important clips,
watch the
right?
Clips, yeah.
Remember when you throw the big ball bearing at the window to prove how unbreakable it was?
Yeah. And
I am so curious to see if something like that will happen.
Oh, but this will be bad. If
Again, it goes back to the monkey hacking into Skynet right there on stage. And oh my gosh. Okay, I'm on YouTube here. I searched for the Neuralink thing myself. Oh, this is somebody else doing what we're doing. Okay. Just checking in to make sure we don't lose anything.
Yeah, well, I'm on here. I'm just waiting. I've refreshed a couple times. I'm sure it'll just start when it starts. That's normally how YouTube works.
Yeah. Okay. CNET. Yeah, they're doing a similar thing, and it says please stand by, so they're not getting it either. What was I going to say? Now we've been given hints that what we're going to see in this thing, and that is going to be a monkey who has the Neuralink implanted, and we will watch him move a cursor on a computer screen. It's a little bit worrying that we're now, 10 minutes late now?
15.
15, oh my gosh.
You should fix your clock, man. Are you stuck? You must be stuck a few minutes behind in time.
No, it's just my clock is wrong. I'm sorry. You can't comment on every time my clock is wrong, or else there's going to be a lot of comments.
Fix your clock, Basil. Come back to the present. Stop living in the past.
Yeah, my computer just has a mind of its own, apparently. Yeah, I hope that the monkey's okay. I hope that there's no delay because monkey has taken control.
Yeah, what if he woke up and he started talking? Yeah. What are you doing to me and my people and my kind?
Again. Should we take a bet on what we think the monkey's name is going to be? I'm thinking it's going to be Caesar.
You think Caesar
from Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to call him Caesar. I mean, that would be just asking for it.
That's what he does, though. That's what Elon does.
He does kind of troll in that way.
He's a pop culture guy.
I'll go with George.
Oh, that's a really good guess.
Yeah.
Okay. It's either George or Caesar. I think we're one of us will be right on that. So that'll be very interesting to see. I had another thing I wanted to discuss, but I forget. Let me see.
There was something about Neuralink, some of the things that they had planned. For sure.
Yeah, what do you think? Anything else?
Well, and I mentioned it in the last episode, but the idea of a monkey moving a cursor or connecting to the internet or whatever through their brain, some kind of brain interface, they did that a long time ago. There was a monkey that they connected to the internet through some kind of brain, interfacing, and he controlled a robotic arm. I think it was a few thousand miles away or something, and it was done through the internet. So, this sort of thing has already worked. But I guess it's just, this is more of a public staging, I suppose, where the whole world is watching. You have how many people? There was close to 100,000 people waiting for this thing. 97,000 people waiting to watch this Neuralink progress update. And, again, it's a lot more public.
Maybe he's waiting for a threshold of viewers. He's like, I will not present unless there is 100,000 people.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, that sounds like something he'd do.
Yeah.
Now, we read some articles in the past couple episodes, specifically about this. We've been looking forward to it for about a month, where it was discussing a lot of the issues going on at Neuralink.
Right.
And Elon Musk, famously being, kind of a, obviously an eccentric billionaire type, but also very demanding and more on the capitalist side of things, the business hype side of things rather than having realistic scientific deadlines.
Yeah.
Now, however, he's done okay with the SpaceX thing. So whatever he's doing, he's good at making scientists angry and quit. But SpaceX is completing its goal. but we read about how 6 of the original 8 scientists at Neuralink have bailed for various reasons, including a toxic workplace and rushing scientific standards and everything like that. So hopefully it has not stalled progress. Maybe Elon just yelled at the technical director for the live stream, and so the tech director just walked out, and now there's nobody to press the button.
You know, one of the things that's kind of troubling or kind of freaky, if you think about it, if you look at all of Elon's projects, you have Tesla, you got your cars, you have SpaceX, so you got, alleged, space up there, and you also have his what was the one? The WebLink one, the one where he's going to try to connect the internet with chains of satellites. Starlink.
Starlink.
Starlink, yeah. So if you think about what he's creating here, it really is an entire infrastructure where your brain is going to be plugged in to the internet, which is going to be beamed down from, a chain, like a whole chain of satellites all over the Earth, allegedly. And then also being able to tap into or control cars and spaceships. I don't know. It's just a weird. It's so dystopian if you kind of think about it. It's really like all the science fiction things coming together, and who gets to afford? Who's the one that's going to be able to do it? You're going to have some kind of because Neuralink talks about it's going to solve Alzheimer's. It's going to solve all this stuff. It goes back to the Revelation 13 where one of the heads of the beast has a head wound, and then he's brought back to life basically. And what if it's a situation where someone important politically or geopolitically gets some kind of head wound, and Elon says, "Hey, I can help you. I can make you stronger than you were before you died." And right. So he's like the first true big human trial, and now he controls like all the Teslas. And like he can control some kind of space weaponry, where he can fire rockets down, or like the rods of God from the whatever. It's just like a crazy, I don't know. The whole thing just sounds insane to me. And the thing that I think is interesting is I've talked to like random, kind of like normies about this this topic.
Normies.
And a lot of them, especially believers, will say like, "Oh, I don't think that they're not going to achieve this. They're not going to ever get to that point." And it's like, yeah, sure. But all it takes is like that one guy who connects to the internet with like his brain or whatever. And you have Transcendence, the movie, pretty much happening. You got Johnny Depp basically, in everybody's phones.
Well, that is the big leap. Now, there's a couple big leaps here in this whole consideration. One of them is connecting your brain to a computer in the first place, which is what we're waiting for with Neuralink. Then there's the big leap of, your consciousness inhabiting either, some sort of cyberspace, whether that's a cloud thing or the internet or even an offline machine, where the consciousness actually inhabits I don't even know. We're having to make up new vocabulary here, but inhabiting some sort of artificial structure, and then I think those are the two big leaps. I'm trying to think but it's crazy when you think about it because, the idea that something would be impossible has existed for all of human existence. I mean, even go the easy examples of how, it was always thought that human beings flying was an impossibility, that it's there's no way for it to even happen. And then of course we flew, and then the next thing with space, and the next thing is just the next thing and the next thing. I think it's simply just sort of a small-minded idea that man would not be able to accomplish almost everything that they want to accomplish. And in fact, it's sort of biblical in a sense. It's biblical that whatever they being mankind or humankind, whatever they want to achieve, they will achieve.
Yeah, and we have this jingle that summarizes what we're living through here.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
And Noah being somebody that lived 350 years after the flood, so he was likely alive during the Tower of Babel. And the one thing that's it's always been very interesting to me about the Tower of Babel is in Genesis 11, verse 6. It says that, first off, I'm going to read the King James here. Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, like build a tower and try to reach heaven. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Basically, God is saying, hey, now that they have this, they have one language, which, a lot of people say like mathematics is the one language, or maybe it's just, ones and zeros in the computer or qubits in the quantum computer, whatever it is. I'm not saying that's what it was at the Tower of Babel, but the singular language, a singular purpose of mankind and trying to reach heaven as this goal that they had way back when. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Nothing they imagine to do will be impossible. So it's a very interesting idea. Like, they can practically do whatever they want. They're basically going to be like gods. And I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about like man becoming God in a type of basically, if you look at transcendence, or if you look at any kind of technological transhumanist doctrine or writing, they talk about that. They say, hey, we're basically going to be gods. And so again, this topic is very much relevant to those who are believers, Christians, if you will, in a way that I don't think most people even think about. It's a very relevant discussion. And it's a frustrating thing because you have on one hand the atheistic type of folk who don't believe in God, and they're like, of course we're going to pursue this. On the other hand, you have
it's almost immoral not to.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have believers that are like, don't worry about it. It's fine. We're living in the millennium. And there's others
that are super into it.
Yeah, or believers that are like, can't wait to download the Bible into my brain.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about the worldwide language in the Tower of Babel, because I mean, I know it's a little bit more complicated than this, but I mean, just even consider binary. If the language of computers, it is a global language now.
It is.
Programmers in whatever country you come from, whatever language or culture or background or religion, there's a one language that everybody can learn, and it's now I understand there's many different programming languages, but computer language, binary, and I know there's some other exceptions. It really is almost a one for one when you broaden your idea of language compared to the original scriptures.
Right. Yeah, it is very interesting too that, like you said, the ones and zeros in computers have brought down the language barrier between. It's part of, you want to call it globalism or whatever, this one world government, new world order thing. The technology of computers, the internet, and effectively the calculations of ones and zeros have pretty much brought down those barriers. And so I think it's Joseph, I forgot his name. I have his book here somewhere. He's an author. He's not a believer, but he's written some really great books on some of these fringe ideas. And he talks about how we're living through a Tower of Babel moment where, but he sees it as like, he's one of those folks that thinks that Yahweh was the evil one and stuff. So he was, I've heard him talk about how, this time around, God is not going to prevent man from achieving its ultimate destination. He's not going to slow us down like he did back in Genesis 11. So it's just interesting how folks will take that anti-God stance, which just turns out to be this, Luciferian or even sort of a satanic perspective on life without being like a theistic Satanist or, openly worshiping Lucifer or anything like that. It's just a default that they fall into, which is, I always think it's fascinating. You're either for or against God, and that's seems to be the pattern of life as we go through this situation. And That's the one thing I wanted to mention about Tesla. Did you know they don't even have two-factor authentication on some of their on their security for
on
users?
The cars?
Yeah, like users that log in, they log into their thing. They don't have 2FA. And Elon came out and was like, "Yeah, we're behind on that. We should get on it." Like, yeah, at the very least, like that's like anti-hacking 101 is 2FA.
You're such a nerd.
I don't know.
Nerd. No, you're correct though. Greasy's in Black in the YouTube chat says Elon Musk is testing our patience as well as Neuralink, and that's true. Elon is testing our patience, although he tends to do that a lot nowadays. But he's also giving us a lot of practice in riffing without our notes.
Yeah.
But it has given us a great. I'm actually kind of happy for it because I'm glad for the opportunity to, at least in a basic way, lay out the worldview that we're coming at this from.
Right.
Because, if somebody's tuning in for the first time, wants to catch the live stream, if you're going to understand almost any of our commentary.
Yeah, you got to have a little primer.
Yes, are riffing for the important to be able to, even as a refresher for the old school listeners, to keep these details in mind as we move forward with the live stream. So that's very nice. I do want to do something in the chat.
Okay.
If you're in the chat, there's a lot of people in the chat today. I'm stoked on that. I am curious. I saw somebody mention they're tuning in from Scotland. And it made me wonder where everybody is tuning in from. I know from our analytics, most of our listeners are in the U.S. But if you're in the chat and you're chatting, just post where you're from. I kind of want to know, and maybe we have a Netherlands person, Minnesota. Okay, keep that coming. I want to refer to that as we go here. It's a good idea to have a reference point for the people we got tuning in here.
Roll call.
Roll call. Yeah.
I have 3 minutes to see if I'm right. I'm gonna guess that he's going to start the live stream on the 33rd minute.
Ooh, good call.
We're at 30 right now.
Yeah, you're on top of it. We're exactly 30 minutes late.
Yeah. If it doesn't start in the next 3 minutes,
knowing Elon, I would say, he would be have something to do with 420. But I think 33 is a good guess too. I don't want to wait 420 minutes for Elon. It'll be dinner time by then.
Yeah, or another 50 minutes till the actual time, 420.
Yeah. You got some sort of loading thing there. Nope, they're just messing with us.
Yeah.
Wow, we got Germany, South Africa, Netherlands, Texas, South Africa, Oklahoma, Rwanda, Belgium. Wow, people coming in from all over the place. Croatia. Wow. Love Croatia.
Uh-oh, did my chat get frozen on the screen here?
I have no idea.
It's frozen
in
on
the
my
actual
end.
stream? Yeah, I may have overloaded
no.
the stream graphic.
Uh-oh. All right, well, I'll see
Virginia, Nevada, Japan. We got a Japan listener with a Japanese characters in their name. I have no idea what their name is, but welcome from Japan. Basil's True Love says live from Basil's room.
Oh,
okay.
Creepy.
Okay, Basil's True Love. Chad, you settle down. Sweden, very good. Wow, holy moly. All right. Okay, well, what do you want to talk about now?
Actually, I'm worried about the chat thing here because it's definitely not moving anymore on my end.
It's not moving on the stream either. Just let it catch up. It's got a lot of catching up to do.
I'll just leave it alone for a little bit.
That was my fault. Calling on almost 1,000 people watching live across all of our platforms to all
tell us
all
where you're
chat
from
at once. That I may have crashed the system. That's my fault.
Restream doesn't like what you're doing to it.
Yeah, that's okay.
They should be able to handle a lot more though. Come on, Restream. But
yeah,
anyway,
it'll catch up. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, what we can do is we can take a break. It'll be we'll just leave this up on the screen in case it starts, and then we'll just jump right into it.
Yes, that's
but we can thank some people that have supported the show, and That way
Stick around.
Yeah.
We're going to thank some people here. It's a very, very short list of producers, so don't get too scared. But we're going to thank some new Twitch followers. We're going to thank some producers of the show. We're going to keep an eye on the live stream. But it's actually a good idea to get this out of the way before we get into the main event.
Right. Okay, so quick break here.
Let's do it. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break before the main show starts here. And this is where we want to, first of all, thank some of our new Twitch followers. Are you ready, Gons, with your dinger?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start out by thanking, we've got some infiltration. Collie666. Just keeping an eye on us.
Collies are cute, though.
There.
Like the dog? You know, the collies?
No, Kali, like Kali, the Hindu goddess.
That
has the statue.
I'm thinking
in front of CERN there, and of course you got to have 666 on there.
Okay.
We also have Bisal's googly eyes.
Ooh, Bisal.
We have Basil's and Bisal's. Deep research. Thank you. Get off my lawn, Pepe Ga. Thank you very much. Get off my lawn.
Oh, it looks like it caught up, kind of.
Yeah, okay, it'll get there. Thanks to Destroyer of Flippy Official. Okay, this is no knockoff account. This is the official Destroyer of Flippy account. Organ donor _ Za. Yahuwah Messiah Jesus. Yeah, boy, Rezi. Shanimals. Miss Night Owl. Amy 4MP. Mike Sid 1. Sumting Wong 91. And Love Y'all On Here is back on the list. I think Love Y'all On Here is doing a great job of staying top of mind. Unfollowing and following again. So thank you very much to all of our new Twitch followers. You guys are the best. We got to be getting close to 2,000 Twitch followers. So if you're out there and you are have not yet followed us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, we recommend it. We'll pop the link in there so you can hit it up, follow, put on notifications. They make it easy. Turn on notifications with that little button there. Even if you prefer YouTube or something like that, it's a really good idea to follow us on Twitch. They're really good at sending out notifications, whereas YouTube is doing everything they can to silence us. So that's why we push Twitch at the moment. Now, in addition to all that, I think it's time to thank some producers, Gons.
Let's do it. Yes, I saw somebody in the chat and just double-checked it. Elon did publish Ahem starting soon at 3:32 p.m., so about 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, right. Oh, he posted that at 3:32.
Yeah.
He missed.
He missed.
He was too soon.
Although it's still 332 in the sequence of numbers, but go ahead.
That's not nothing.
Nope.
Okay, so we are on the value for value system, and if you've seen the show before, you know what that means. But if you're new, let me share with you. The value for value system is we put out the content, we do the best job we can, and we do it as often as we possibly can. So we create some value, we provide it to you, and then it's your opportunity to put some value back into the system. And here's why we do that. There's a lot of temptation for media creators to fall into what I'm starting to call the advertising trap. And it really is a trap, because here's what happens. They lure you in with the idea that you can make money by creating content, and then you can sell ads on your content, and it'll be so fun. What could possibly go wrong? But the problem is, as we've seen over the years with this model, the advertising model, it is a trap, because it then it incentivizes you as a creator, or us, Gons, as creators of content, to think of our listeners and our audience as a commodity or a crop almost, to be grown and grown and grown at all cost, to say whatever we need to say, to do whatever we need to do to get more and more listeners, because that directly translates into dollars to support the show. Now, that's not necessarily the end of the world, but when it's just not healthy for people, for an entire economy to be based on considering people who give you your trust, give you their trust and their attention, to start thinking of them as farm animals that you need to increase in numbers in order to support yourself, is kind of a depressing way to think about it. On top of that, advertising is also a trap, because you then must maintain brand friendliness, which means you can't say things that the brand doesn't like. You can't report on things the brand doesn't want you to report on. You can't, hold even worldviews that the brand does not want to connect with their brand. And that makes it very tempting for content creators to tailor their message not to the truth, but to the wishes of the advertisers. And all this is why we subscribe to the value for value model, which means every one of you listeners out there, you are not just a number for us to sell to a corporation, but you are individual human beings that we can actually care about telling the truth to. So anyways, when it comes to supporting the show, we ask that if you find value out of what we do, simply to consider putting some value back into the show. And you can do that a couple ways. One is with patreon.com/CCNT, which is a great way to do it. And I am live trying to fix my thing here. Let's see. I'm not doing a good job. Patreon.com/CCNT, which is currently not reloading for me here, but as of last check.
I think we're starting.
Are we starting?
I saw something move.
Okay, I'm going to go through the producers really quick, which will be easy. We have no new producers on CCNT Patreon, no new producers on CCR Patreon, which is pretty odd. It's unusual, and we don't know if there's something wrong with Patreon or if people just are done supporting the show. So there you go. No new producers there. But we also have canarycryradio.com/support for those who don't like Patreon.
All right. We're starting.
We're starting. All right. Our one producer will get a shout out later in the show.
Well, I think you could do it. It's it's just some Elon style music with
okay.
Some computer
then
stuff.
Coming in on PayPal at canarycryradio.com/support is our good one and only producer, Brandon. Thank you very much, producer Brandon. Everybody in the chat loves you, Brandon. We love you. Thank you so much for your support. We also had some anonymous cryptocurrency come in. So thank you for the anonymous.
Here we go.
All right, welcome to the Neuralink product demo. I'm really excited to show you what we've got. I think it's going to blow your mind. So the primary purpose of this demo is actually recruiting. So I'm going to emphasize this at the beginning and then again at the end. We're not trying to raise money or do anything else. The main purpose of this is to convince great people to come work at Neuralink and help us bring the product
to
fruition,
fair.
Make it affordable and reliable, and such that anyone who wants one can have one. And
stick your head under that guillotine, Basil.
The purpose of Neuralink.
It does look like a guillotine, doesn't it?
What's our goal? Our goal is to solve important spine and brain problems with a seamlessly implanted device. So
that's your short
you want to have a device
goal.
that you can basically put in your head and feel and look totally normal, but it solves some important problem in your brain or spine. And the reality is that almost everyone over time will develop brain and spine problems. These range from
my googly eye needs some help.
Enough,
Not my brain or spine. My eyeball is completely falling
neurological
off.
Disorder. And these range, from memory loss to brain damage. But The thing that's
now just
important to
just a
appreciate
quick
is that,
comment here. He's
is that
mentioning how memory loss, hearing loss, blindness, all sorts of neurological disorders can be solved with this.
I think
It
a lot of
is
people
very
don't quite
common
realize
for
that.
transhumanist
But all of these- all of
transhumanists
your
and
senses, your
transhumanist
sight,
products and
hearing,
transhumanist
feeling,
companies to base the idea of
pain,
transhumanism first
all
around
electrical
medical
signals
purposes,
sent by neurons
and then
to your brain.
inevitably they either
If you
get
can,
grafted into the
correct these
military-industrial
signals, you can
complex,
solve everything from
or in
memory
this
loss,
case, certainly
memory loss, hearing
a
loss,
commercial-grade
blindness,
economic
depression, insomnia,
transhumanist
extreme pain,
product.
seizures,
So
anxiety,
this
addiction, strokes,
beginning
brain damage. These can be solved.
Yeah.
These all can all be
explanation
solved
as
with
a medical
implantable,
device is always how it starts.
Neuralink. This is an extremely fundamental thing, and I think a lot of people don't quite understand that. The neurons are like wiring, and you kind of need an electronic thing to solve an electronic problem. So current medical research, we'll just go through what is the state of the art in medical research, and then what's the state of the art in what consumers or people in general can get. So the current medical research has shown that you can read neurons in a human's brain. So there's something called the Utah array, which has about 100 channels per array. But it's like, kind of like it's a bed of rigid spikes that's literally inserted with an air hammer. So, you know, that's slightly discomforting, I think. And there's a big,
Really?
there's wires and a box on your head. And so it's some infection risk. And obviously, it will look pretty weird if you walk around with boxes on your head.
Utah array.
And in order to use it, you have to have an expert medical professional there. And it's only been done in a few dozen people. So, but it is
that in Age of Deceit too.
served as an important proof of concept that this can be done. So we did want to point this out and show that this actually does work. It's just not something that the average person could use effectively. And then in terms of what is currently available, there is something called deep brain stimulation, where they put electrodes, a small number of electrodes, in your brain, and will actually zap your brain with an electric current. And it's valuable for its uses, but it can't read or write high bandwidth information. I would say this is sort of a bit like sort of kicking the TV, which does work, but not always, and it has limitations. Nonetheless, this has greatly helped over 150,000 people, and it's actually, just despite being somewhat of a brute force approach, it has been very effective for a lot of people. And this is what's currently available. So we want to radically improve this by multiple orders of magnitude, improve it by a factor of 100, then 1,000, then 10,000. So going into the Neuralink architecture, what we've done over the past year is dramatically simplify the device. So we about a year ago, we had a device which had multiple parts, including a piece that had to sort of sit behind your ear, and it was complex, and you wouldn't still look totally normal. You'd have a thing behind your ear. So we've simplified this to simply something that is about the size of a large coin, and it goes in your skull, replaces a piece of skull, and the wires then connect within a few centimeters or about an inch away from the device. And this is sort of what it looks like.
He's holding it now, holding it up to the camera. Looks like the side of a quarter.
That thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place, because they're just like little fine wires.
Basil, your eyes,
I mean,
man.
frankly, to sort of simplify this,
my eyeball is completely falling off.
I mean, it's more complicated than this, but it's in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
Oh, yay. Fantastic.
Fitbit in your skull.
And it's, yeah, so our current prototype, version 0.9, has about 1,000 channels. So that's about 100 times better than the next best consumer device that's available. And it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull, because your skull is about 10 millimeters thick. So it fits, it goes flush with your skull. It's invisible and all you can see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar. And if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have a Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do.
Ooh, maybe I do.
So, there it goes.
And it's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect to see in a smartwatch or a phone, like notional measurement, temperature, pressure. So there's actually a lot of functions that this device could do related to monitoring your health and warning you about a possible heart attack or
all-day
stroke or
battery
other,
life
damage, as well as sort of convenience
charge
features
it?
like playing music.
Yeah, how do you charge it?
Stick your head in a...
Sort of like if you're
No more
blowing wind at
baths.
your brain or something. Yeah, maybe that's not a great analogy. Anyway, so and so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So you would really, it would be completely seamless, and yeah, no wires.
Yeah.
In terms of getting a link, so that, you need to have the device, a great device, and you also need to have a great robot that puts in the electrodes and
we
does
need a
the surgery.
great robot.
So you want the surgery to be as automated and as possible, and the only way you can achieve the level of precision that's needed is with an advanced robot.
in less than an hour.
So we're really looking for great people who can help develop both the device and the robot.
And without general
And
anesthesia.
we feel confident about getting
Wow.
the link
Outpatient.
procedure, the installation of a link, done in under an hour. So you can basically go in the morning and leave the hospital in the afternoon. And it can be done without general anesthesia.
Where's the monkey?
Show us.
So in terms of getting a link, like I said, it's essentially you open a piece of skull, you remove about a coin-sized piece of skull,
Oh, gosh.
and then the robot inserts the electrodes.
Eh.
We'll talk more about that later. Then the device replaces the portion of skull that was removed, and we basically close that up with actually super glue, which is how a lot of wounds are closed, and then you can just walk around right afterwards. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
So this is our surgical robot.
It does look like a giant Flippy.
Flippy's he's
And
coming
we
up,
actually
man.
ultimately want this robot to do essentially the entire surgery. So in everything from incision, removing the skull, inserting the electrodes,
Oh no,
placing the
lagging.
device, and then closing things up and having you ready to leave. So we want to have a fully automated
Ah,
system. And to be clear, this robot does actually work. We've used it for all of the implantations.
someone in the chat. Flippy, your son is out of control.
So this shows you
Oh no.
a sort of close-up view.
They're showing footage of
Which I think
the
is actually not too gruesome.
wires going
of
into the brain.
Electrodes being inserted in the brain.
Yeah, this
And if you
micro
look
threading
closely,
sewing
you'll see
machine.
That it's a little counterintuitive that if the electrodes are inserted very carefully, that there is no bleeding. And so if you have very tiny electrodes, and if they're inserted very carefully, so that the robot actually images the brain and makes sure to avoid any veins or arteries, so that the electrodes can be inserted with no noticeable damage. So you will have no noticeable neural damage in inserting the link.
Says you.
Yeah, like you sort of think like if you stab something with a wire, surely it will bleed, but actually at a really small scale, it does not.
Oh yay.
So does it actually work? And what I'm excited to show you, I call it like the Three Little Pigs demo. And if our
Oh,
animal handlers, we're bringing out the pigs. And
Three
what we're going to
pigs.
show you is
Pigs?
yep.
well, I'll walk right over and show you.
Oh, so they're rolling out some pigs here in a 3 little pens.
Those aren't monkeys.
We were promised monkeys.
So what we have in pen number 1 is Joyce.
Joyce.
And she does not have an implant.
Oh.
Obviously healthy and happy.
This is a normal pig.
Normal pig.
We're trying to
Here's
get
just a regular pig
Good
we
for that.
have.
And this is how you know it's a live demo. She's like she's trying to eat something in the corner of her pen.
Okay, here's the normal pig.
Let's move on. Let's get going, Elon.
Yeah. Snacks are this way. Oh, man.
He's just showing off his prized hogs.
All right. We'll wait. We'll give Gertrude a second.
Gertrude.
And we'll move on to Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Yeah. Ooh, pigs
are a
like
little
the
shy.
Legion went into.
So here's Dorothy.
Oh, yeah. Legion.
And
there you
in the
go.
case of Dorothy, Dorothy used to have an implant, and then we removed the implant.
So the one with the implant is not cooperating?
A very important thing to demonstrate is reversibility. So if you have a Neuralink, and then you decide you don't want it, or you want to get an upgrade, and the Neuralink is removed, is it removed in such a way that you are still healthy and happy afterwards? And
good
what
question.
Dorothy illustrates is that you can put in the Neuralink, remove it, and be healthy, happy, and indistinguishable from a normal pig. Well, thanks, Dorothy. Man, Gertrude, are you serious? Okay.
Come on, Gertrude.
Well, should we bring them all out or something? Would
Now
that be
he
better?
feels how we felt waiting
everyone
for
just
him
comes
to
in
start the
this
live stream. He's just sitting here waiting for a pig to come out.
Can't you just pick him up and... He's obviously disturbed because he has the mark of the beast in his head.
All right.
Yeah, this is the one with
is
the...
Gertrude still back in the thing? Okay, we need to bring Gertrude out. Yeah.
Oh, Elon. Oh, they had another pig come out?
That was a different pig.
He does.
Whose pig is this? This isn't my pig.
This is real live demo. All right. Maybe we can zoom in to do Gertrude or something.
How great would it be if PETA
Clearly
just
very
busted
interested
in right
something at
now
the back of a pen.
and extracted the pigs?
Gertrude is not... The one with the Neuralink is not cooperating. Interesting.
This is the
the fail moment.
Ball bearing in the window moment.
Can you see her? Or?
Oh,
right.
Gertrude's dead. Come on, Gertrude.
Waiting for a pig.
This might take
Come
a
on.
sec.
Oh, great.
All right.
Well, this worked earlier.
Elon needs some vamping lessons from us, I think.
Oh, yeah, he needs a hype man.
Fill the time, Elon.
Is that it? Is that him? Nope. There was a pig that came in, but apparently it wasn't the right one again.
For the non-video listeners, we are just staring at a blank cage waiting for a pig to come out.
And there is a screen above that I think
Lift
showing...
the curtain and then zoom in.
Lift the curtain and zoom in. Can't just
Okay.
pick the pig up or what?
I think they're
I think they're trying to pick it up.
I bet they're heavy.
Here we go. Great. Okay.
Here we go.
There he is.
Great.
Yay, Gertrude.
Okay. This is a high energy pig.
What is that noise?
All right.
That's the presentation.
Gertrude, thanks for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. And so on the screen...
not distracting at all, Elon.
Each of the spikes from the 1,024 electrodes. And then if she snuffles around, touches her snout in the ground, or you kind of feed her some food, pigs love food, then you can see the neurons will fire much more than when you're not touching the snout. And that's what's making the beeping sound.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Right.
So as you can see, we have a healthy and happy pig, initially shy, but obviously high energy and kind of loving life. And she's had the implant for 2 months. So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well. Yeah. All right, cool. And then we actually have, I'm not sure if this works, so we said, well, what if we do 2 Neuralink implants? We've been able to do dual Neuralink implants in, actually I think 3 pigs at this point, and we have a couple of them here. And we've been able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. So
How does he know they're happy?
It's possible to have multiple links in your head and
It's a really
have them all be sending
existential
out signals
question,
and
Elon.
be working well.
Is he going to have a...
All right.
Okay.
Here.
They're
Do we
not gonna
get to
do
hear the double beeps?
Yeah, the double beep or some kind of double...
All right, so we just showed you a demonstration of reading brain activity. And
people saying they're making pork chops tonight.
As I was saying, each of those dots represents a neural spike, and the blue chart at the bottom is showing an accumulation of neural spikes in that region.
They're showing some kind of like a chart.
Okay.
Okay, reading brain
We've
activity.
We've been able to read brain activity for
reading activity.
decades.
When we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill.
Ooh.
It's a funny concept, really. And we
Good joke.
Take the readings from the neurons, and we try to predict the position of the joints. And so we have the predicted position of the joints, and then we measure the actual position of the joints. You can see that they're almost exactly aligned. So we're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body.
Oh,
with
interesting.
very high accuracy.
All right.
Now, in terms of writing to the brain or stimulating neurons, we obviously need precise control of the electric field in space and time. We need a wide range of current for different brain regions. Some regions require delicate stimulation, some require a lot of current, and you want obviously no harm to the brain over time. And the way part of the way we analyze the stimulating neurons is with a 2-photon microscopy. I always have trouble pronouncing that, microscopy. And it's very impressive technology. You can actually literally see in real time how the neurons are firing. So the red sort of things are the neurons. The red sort of flashing things are the neurons firing. Or I should say the electrodes firing. So the red things are electrodes firing, and then the green are the neuron bodies responding to the current from the electrode. So you can see them lighting up different brain regions. And then by carefully controlling the electric field, you can actually have one electrode influence possibly 1,000 or 10,000 neurons. So although you might only have 1,000 electrodes implanted, you could be influencing millions of neurons.
Mm. Now he's talking about the chip influencing the brain and not the brain.
Showing stimulation at different power levels.
The title on the screen is Writing Brain Activity.
Like I said, for the initial device, it's read-write in every channel with about 1,024 channels, all-day battery life, recharges overnight. I should say that's kind of an important thing. This would connect to your phone, and actually the application would be on your phone, and it would be communicating by essentially Bluetooth Low Energy to the device in your head. That's why I say it, in a lot of ways it is like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. So
Bluetooth right in your skull.
And then, like I said, you would not be able to see the device at all. You would look completely normal and just have a small scar under your hair. And we're making good progress towards clinical studies. I'm excited to announce that we received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA in July, thanks to the hard work of the Neuralink team.
Stick them in humans. All right, let's clap for that one.
So I want to be clear, we're working closely with the FDA, and we'll be extremely rigorous. In fact, we will significantly exceed the minimum FDA guidelines for safety. We will make this as safe as possible. Just as with Tesla, while it is legally possible to ship a 1-star car, at Tesla, the only cars we make are 5 stars in every category. So we actually maximize safety, and we'll take the same approach here at Neuralink. And then to emphasize again what the goal of this presentation
Promise the battery will not explode.
We want people who are great at solving problems to join the company and help us complete this device.
We should email engineering@neuralink.com.
Write the software, create the chips, and productionize everything. So we need robotics engineers. I think we also especially need people who have worked on and shipped products. So if you've shipped a smartwatch or a phone, or any kind of complex electronics or complex device, or advanced medical devices, we'd love for you to contact us and consider working here. So, and a very important point to emphasize is that you do not need to have prior experience on brains. So a lot of people think, well, I couldn't possibly work at Neuralink because I don't know anything about how brains work. And that's okay, you can learn, but we need software engineering, we need mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, like I said, chip design, robotics, and all the things that a company needs to work. So please send in your resume. Actually, it's not just engineering, obviously everything at Neuralink. So now let's actually move to questions. So we've piled questions that have been asked over the internet, and so we'll do live Q&A. So bring in a bunch of people from the Neuralink team.
They're all wearing masks.
Yeah, I noticed Elon wasn't wearing his mask there.
He's exempt.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Chip. You know, he's exempt.
Because he's a billionaire.
Interesting setup here. They're in some kind of warehouse, it looks like.
Yeah, very low-key event.
Yeah.
Very low-key event, small tables, no real social distancing.
All right, so
but
if you have any questions, please submit your questions to the Neuralink Twitter account, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can.
Should we try to send a question?
Over the next hour. And,
yeah. Oh, shoot. We should send a question.
Ask hard questions. That's no problem. And we'll do our best
to
answer them. All right.
I know. I'm trying to think of a question that he would actually answer.
Yes,
we can't be like
monitoring questions until the end of the event, so please keep sending them in over Twitter.
Yep.
Elon, do you want to come join us?
I'm going to pull up the Twitter account
here. The question is, how is the spike detection implemented? Is it on the ASIC? Is it hardware and software updatable?
It's on the ASIC.
Yes. Yeah, I can answer that. So I'm Paul. I work. I've had a few different hats. I've worked a little bit on digital chip design, and more recently working on some of the algorithms trying to decode the signals from the brain. And the spike detection algorithm, there's historically been many ways of detecting spikes. Typically, people will record data offline and then look for characteristic shapes. But here, we're interested in detecting spikes online. And there's a number of simple algorithms that you can do. For example, like
your eyes,
just,
man.
A threshold.
I know. I've been trying to keep it under control. I can't, though.
Interested in doing a little bit better than that. So we actually look for particular
We should
shapes,
ask specifically. I mean, a simple one would be.
So we're doing this on the chip. It's for all.
I want to talk over
Does
this
it
guy,
have
but
two-factor authentication?
There's bandpass filtering
that's
happening
funny.
on the chip.
Definitely
so
send that
like
in.
little microphones sending audio information.
I'm not signed into our Twitter account here.
And then looking for these characteristic shapes. You can configure what sort of shapes you're looking for, and that information is what's being sent out. The raw information coming from the electrodes is way too much.
Should ask if there's developer kits for the App Store.
On the screen, those are the detections that we have coming straight from the chips.
Got it. And just for everyone who doesn't know, can you just explain at a basic level what a spike is?
Sure. So traditionally, people think of spikes or action potentials as the electrical events that happen in neurons and as the primary form of communication between neurons. And so this is a hysteresis event where you have currents that
we should
flow
just ask,
and
where's the
generate
monkey?
This, you can think of it as being a digital
What about
signal,
airport security?
A 1 or a 0 that's being sent in time, where neurons will send that signal to.
They're going to set off
thousands of
metal detectors, or will magnetic.
Awesome, thanks, Paul. So I got a question from Toby on Twitter. He asks, what can be further done to simplify the device installation progress?
Ooh, you probably can't get an MRI after you get it.
We're working on making the device as small as possible, of course, with the robot taking more and more of the responsibility away from
Elon has his mask on now, I think.
Human surgeons. We're hoping to make the process faster and safer.
Actually, it might be good for people to say, who they are and what they do.
Oh, I'm Matthew McDougall. I'm the neurosurgeon, the head neurosurgeon at Neuralink.
Thanks, Matt. Is there anything specifically from the robot that can be done to make this faster and safer and scalable to billions of people?
Yeah, I guess we've started with just implementing, robot manipulating the threads. But we definitely need to expand to essentially doing the entire surgery with the robot. So there's nothing like really, as far as I can tell, fundamentally like stopping us from doing that. Sort of like at a fundamental science level. It hasn't been done in the past, I think, probably just because like volumes of surgeries hasn't been needed. But specifically for us to scale up to many hundreds of thousands or millions of patients, we will need to automate like the entire surgery essentially.
Awesome, thank you, Ian. Garrett asks, what are some of the lower bandwidth activities to target first? Is it muscle movement? Is it auditory signals? What level of bandwidth is required for effective use?
Oh, my eyeball has officially fallen off.
So there's a couple of...
Just to say who you are and what you do.
Should I auction it? Should I send it to a listener?
I'm a neuroscientist and neuroengineer working on decoding from the brain. So there's some low-hanging fruit that I think can really be impactful to help many people's lives, and that's restoring movement and communication in, for example, a spinal cord injured patient. And there's a lot of antecedents in the academic world where there have been very nice demonstrations of doing this, and we think we can take our technology and really bring that to the home, something people can take home with them and improve their lives.
Fantastic.
We're talking about improving lives.
Yeah, so we're fielding questions from Twitter, so there's going to be some funny comments. First question is, who are you and what do you do? I'll lead with that. And the question is, can the Neuralink chip allow you to summon your Tesla telepathically?
Definitely, of course.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
A definite 100%.
You can summon your
Carlos,
Tesla
that is the
telepathically. I was right.
It's just one bit of information.
Yeah, it's very easy. That's an easy one.
Actually, Max, this might be a question for you. Like some of the questions we had on Twitter was, how do you see the Neuralink device and the essentially API growing over time and allowing developers to interact with the device?
Oh, that was my question.
So
blockchain.
About whether you do decoding on head or on a phone or on a computer. Ultimately, so at 1,000 channels, it's possible to send all the spike data to a phone and do processing there. As this gets bigger and bigger, you're going to be more constrained by the radio, so you're going to want to push more of this on
Ask
head,
about getting
and that
MRIs.
changes your programming
I did.
model.
Okay.
But really, the APIs, you're getting either bin spikes or you're getting raw waveforms, and that's like, you can consume it basically like an audio feed.
Yeah, it's worth noting, like the lossless compression of the data stream is about 100 kilobits with 1,024 channels.
Excellent. So this one came up a lot, and this particular question is from Yosef, but will this technology ever be used for gaming?
Yeah, probably.
Dumb questions.
100%.
Yeah. 100%, yeah.
I think that a good benchmark of does it work well in humans is, can a quadriplegic, does it work well enough for them to play StarCraft? I think that's a good functional target.
Super cool benchmark.
Awesome. We'll pull out back from the Twitter questions that are kind of funny. This is a question for the efficacy of the device. Right now, is the device limited to surface layers of the brain only, or can we go deeper? And if not now, what's holding us back from going deeper into the brain?
We are planning on modifying the device and the robot to be able to sew into arbitrary depths of the brain. Right now, we're limiting ourselves only to the cortical surface because that simplifies many of the problems involved with going a lot deeper.
And what kinds of things can you solve on the cortical surface versus when you go deeper?
Sure. So a lot of the low-level processing happens in the cortex in terms of motor intention, sensory information that comes directly in. So your hearing, your auditory percepts, your visual processing, a lot of that happens in the cortex.
I mean, you could solve blindness. You could solve paralysis. You can solve hearing. You can solve a lot just by interfacing with the cortex. And to be clear, we actually do insert, I guess, about 3 or 4 millimeters into the cortex. So these electrodes are sensing from multiple layers within the cortex. There are deeper brain systems that are underneath your cortex, like the hypothalamus, and I think that is something we'd want to interface with for sure, because that's going to be important for curing things like I know, depression, addiction, that kind of thing, anxiety. But yeah, like I said in the presentation, overall we're aiming for a general purpose device, and really the thing that would change from interfacing with the cortex versus deep brain systems is kind of the length of the electrode. So we just need kind of longer wires and to adjust the robot in order to access deeper regions of the brain.
This is deep.
Ian, did you have anything to add?
The robot is designed, like, the full length is like 7 centimeters or 8 centimeters.
Yeah, so right now we're designed for like 6 millimeters. The actuator itself isn't actually limited to 6 millimeters. It can go much deeper. That's sort of, in addition to scaling out sort of to the rest of the surgery, also scaling to deeper, which is mostly a sensing problem. So the ability to avoid deep vasculature is sort of an interesting problem that we're working on in the robotics world here. So yeah.
6 millimeters, that's not deep at all.
You're
Interesting.
leading robot engineering.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Ian. I lead the robotics program here.
Robot is a man's best friend. All right, next question is...
Robot
what
is a
the
man's
most
best
challenging
friend.
problem that must be solved in order
Wake
to meet
up,
Neuralink's
sheeple.
ultimate goal?
Well, I think one of the hardest problems is kind of, I'd say, material science and especially the installation of the electrodes. What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Felix Deku. I currently lead the microfabrication team. My team makes up of a group of process engineers and material scientists. And our job is to make the tiny wires, as Elon referred to them, what we call the threads that are implanted in the brain. And of course, the threads are made of conductors and insulators. And choosing the right material that is amenable to the brain and compatible to the brain is something that our team have expertise on, and we work seriously on interface engineering just to make sure that our layers are actually well thought through, well designed, and at the end of the day, when we implant this device, they'll be actually functional for either reading or for writing in the brain.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be important in terms of material science problems, is making sure that the threads, the electrodes, can last for decades in the brain, which is a tricky thing because it's a very corrosive environment, and you're in a dichotomy where you want to read and you want to sense electrical signals and you want to generate electrical signals, but you don't want to corrode the electrodes over time. So you need to have an insulating layer that is very robust, but also very, very thin. It has to be just the right amount of insulation, and it has to stay that amount of insulation over time. So this is why I think we think probably like a silicon carbide type insulator is probably the best long term from a material science standpoint. But silicon carbide is a tough material to work with, but that's probably the right choice long term. Would you say?
Yeah. Substrate. Another thing that we're also looking at is, since we're actually reducing the electrode dimensions, the electrode side, the actual side that actually speaks to the neuron, also have what we call high resistance to the signal. So we actually look into like material engineering that will reduce the impedance at that interface, so that we can actually have a very small electrode side, but still be able to speak clearly to the neuron.
And when you guys say thin, how thin?
How thin? So one strand of your hair is about 100 microns in diameter. We can think about cutting that into 20. So our
still only have one
the
eye.
thickness that we recognize about 5 microns.
Thought about getting some tape while I was disconnected there.
Thinner, in the nearest future.
Hey.
Yeah, we think we can probably go sub-micron.
Got my second eye back.
But obviously, as the thinner you make the wire, the harder it is to sense the signal and to do stimulation, because there's less cross-sectional area for the current to traverse.
Okay.
In terms of upgrades, that's part of why I wanted to show the explanted plig, is to show that you can actually take the device out, and there's no observable behavior change. The pig is as happy as before and healthy, and I think this is going to be important for
keeps going back to this happy thing.
If you get an early device,
yeah, he's really concerned about our happiness.
Let's say you get version 1. Probably
Pig
by the
is
time we
happy.
have version
The pig
3
is
or 4,
happy. You can be happy too.
You want to upgrade. You wouldn't want version 1 of a phone, and 10 years later, everyone's got version 3 or 4. So it's going to be important to be able to remove the device and upgrade it over time. So over time, the Neuralink would do even more than it did before.
Awesome.
That is how time works.
So here's a question about the device. We have been talking a lot about read speeds and we haven't talked about read or write speeds. DJ, what are the read and write speeds of the device, if you think of it like a computer?
Sorry, when you say speed, what do you mean?
Like, how quickly can you read information from the brain, and how quickly can you write information in the brain?
Okay, so let's see. So one of the things to highlight is that
DJ, what do you work on?
Yes, my name is DJ Sa. I'm leading implant electronics development.
Like a chip design.
And a chip designer, electrician.
Yeah.
So the prototype that we were showing, it has 1,024 channels. All of those channels are capable of recording and also stimulating. And in terms of recording, as Paul mentioned, we do have on-chip algorithms to do a level of compression and extracting the signals of interest, in this case, spikes, neural spikes.
Sure.
And those things are actually happening at a much faster speed than your brain even is processing those information.
Well, do you want to say like things like time resolution, like within how many milliseconds can you detect a spike, and what's the just some technical data?
So in terms of the signals that we're collecting, we're digitizing them at 20 kilohertz. Generally, the signals of interest are anywhere between about a millisecond in width, and so we sort of sample it at 20 times that speed. And we have analog to digital converters that divides that into 1024 levels, so 10-bit resolution. And
1024,
the spike detection
isn't that
is done in
particular bit
less
rate?
than 900 nanosecond, which is really, really a fast time. And it's only sort of
a
determined
divisible
by
bit
the
rate for
speed of the
something.
clock. And for making sure that our implant is low power, we're running them actually at a very slow speed. And then for stimulation, we can actually create any arbitrary waveforms with about 7 microsecond of resolution. So basically, whatever you want to draw, we can stimulate and generate those pulses through any combination of our electrodes.
And this is just version 0.9, or aspirationally version 1. As we go to version 2, 3, 4, these things will expand, I think, ultimately by orders of magnitude, many orders of magnitude.
Great. Everyday Tesla asks, how big is the Neuralink team, and how much do you expect it to grow in the near future?
Okay, we can talk over this question.
Right now.
Yeah,
I think over time,
don't care.
Yeah.
Unless
there
they're
might be
looking
10,000
for
more
some
people.
lovable commentators over there at Neuralink.
I bet you would have done a better
Couple
job
of
of getting
magnitude.
people hyped.
That's one of my favorite phrases.
Dude,
But
I would do that. I would do
just
that
say
for
a couple
him.
of magnitude.
I would risk the Illuminati shill accusations.
Yeah,
Plus, I could like sneak in
number of
little canary
electrodes
cry
will
code
grow
into
of people in the
Neuralink
company.
broadcasts.
Hopefully that's a super linear relationship.
Yeah. Well, we might need a million people at the company then. Yeah, super, yeah, even more. Yeah. Ideally, super linear.
Ask what the return policy is.
By our channel count.
Maybe it's 10-to-1 ratio or something.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Nerd jokes.
Twitter asks, how does the implant system fare against various disturbances from the outside, like electrical, magnetic,
this is kind of the
Wi-Fi,
question I asked.
radio?
Yeah, so the current version of implant that we have is using Bluetooth low energy radio. So similar to any Bluetooth devices that are out there, they are able to coexist with other devices that are using and sharing our same spectrum in 2.4 gigahertz. Obviously, as you imagine, when you go to concerts or there's just a lot of people, the signal quality does degrade because it is a pretty congested spectrum. So we are actually working on some new versions of the radio that are operating at different frequencies to be able to also send out a lot more data and have it be scalable to millions of electrodes. And then also in terms of sort of electromagnetic compatibility and interferences, obviously, it's very important for us to coexist with other systems and just disturbances out there. So there are also well-documented guidelines from FDA that we'll be following and doing a lot of testing for.
Fantastic. We're going to take an audience question. Fred, take it away.
Ooh.
So
We
we
gotta
all want
pull
to play
that
StarCraft
robots
using
are a
Neuralink,
man's best
but
friend
what are
quote.
some likely first applications?
Well, I don't know if we all want to play StarCraft.
There are other games.
There are other games to play. Exactly.
But also StarCraft.
So our first clinical trial is aimed at people with paraplegia or tetraplegia, so cervical spinal cord injury. We're going to enroll, plan to enroll a small number of patients to make sure the device is safe and that it works in that case.
Is that like 5?
So
you can't move their head
to
either?
elaborate on that.
I don't know. I gotta
if somebody
Google
has,
tetraplegia.
like a severe spinal cord injury, to the degree that they have very limited control even over their facial muscles, then but with this implant you can actually think just by thinking you can output words, and you can type, and you can control a computer, control a phone.
Prove it.
And which is pretty wild. And I think something that's very exciting as a long-term application is if you can sense what somebody's trying to do with their limbs, what they want to do with their limbs, then you can actually do a second implant that's at the base of the spine, or wherever, just after wherever the spinal injury occurred, and you can create a neural shunt. So I think long-term, I'm confident that long-term it will be possible to restore somebody's full body motion. So if somebody even has a severed spine, they will be able
I guess
to walk
tetraplegia
again.
is same thing
They
as
will be able to
quadriplegia.
use their hands.
Synonym, yeah.
And like when you have a severed spinal cord, you essentially have a broken wires.
You know,
and so if you can just jump over those wires and transmit the signals over those wires, you can give somebody.
you know who just recently got some
ability to walk
spine severed
naturally.
situation?
Jacob Blake.
Jacob
So
Blake.
EJ, you talked about outside interference. Can anyone talk about the
Relevant.
inside interference? So how to protect the implant from the body?
Ooh.
Sure, I can talk about that. My name is Robin. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I lead the implant mechanical packaging and assembly team. So actually making the devices and designing the seal. So yeah, the body's not a friendly place to be.
Designing the seal.
Is basically create an accelerated
Wow.
test chamber that can mimic the conditions that the devices will see in the body, and basically test the devices at as fast as accelerated rate as we can. At this time, we're limited temperature-wise by some of the electronics components, but basically we can test subsystems to mimic the environment in the body. And by that, we've brought some devices in the tester right now to almost a year, and all the implanted ones prior to these implants, we had tested the same architecture in the tester to validate it. And yeah, so there's obviously chemical things attacking the implant. There's pressure. There's mechanical shock and vibration.
Maybe
so all
because
these
it's
things are
not
part of it.
supposed to be
And
in your body.
yeah,
Or your
one
How do we
of
get
the
our
helps is
bodies
having
to not
everything
reject?
insourced in-house. So we have the capability to deposit thin layers of metal. We have the capability to weld glass and machine micron scale with lasers. And yeah, so basically we have all the tools in-house to be able to design any sort of sealing, enclosure, packaging that we need to do.
Awesome, thank you, Robin. Another question from Twitter: will you be able to save and replay memories in the future?
Ooh.
Yes, I think in the future you will be able to save and replay
Hard
memories.
zoom into Elon.
I mean, this is obviously
The
sounding
future.
like a Black Mirror episode, but well, I guess they're pretty good at predicting. But yeah, essentially, if you have a whole brain interface, everything that's encoded in memory, you could upload. You could basically store your memories as a backup and restore the memories. And ultimately, you could potentially download them into a new body or into a robot body.
There you go.
The future is going to be weird.
There it is.
The future's gonna be weird.
Gonna be weird.
So I can't help but notice
Writing that one
that the
down.
pigs back there are pretty well behaved and pretty darn cute. Can anyone talk about? I'm looking at
Okay,
Autumn over here.
weirdo.
First, can you tell everyone who you are and what you do here? And can you describe, like, how are they so well behaved and so smart?
Well,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
Autumn, and I lead our animal care program. And our philosophy here is to set up a system where the animals are able to volunteer, to make choices, to participate in our projects. As
What?
you see, sometimes they choose not
What?
to participate,
What are
and
you
that's okay.
Wait.
We want to make sure that our animals are happy and healthy. So all of the behavioral research that we do is led by positive reinforcement. And again, that allows for them to choose to volunteer or not.
That's
Choose to volunteer?
Behavioral, yeah. So they're.
Hi, I'm Sam. One of the
Okay.
veterinarians here. Work closely with Autumn, taking care of the animals. And yeah, it's just emphasizing what Autumn said. The whole animal care program here, in fact, the whole company here is very dedicated to promoting the care of these animals. Everybody's involved. Everybody's very interested in making sure that they're taken care of. And yeah, the program from top to bottom is designed to make sure that they can express their species-specific behaviors, choose to do things. We don't force things upon them as much as possible. And yeah, that's why you see the pigs happily rooting around the straw right now and generally being very content.
They do have those natural little smiles on their faces, which is
Yeah.
ever delightful. Next question is, what programming language are you guys using for developing the device?
Several.
C++.
Yeah, we use
JavaScript.
several different types of programming languages. So for chip
Silk.
development, a lot of Verilog for
Little-
doing
little
low-level
coder
programming
joke.
at the kind of the register transfer level. As you go up higher and higher, there
Python.
are various methods to enable these systems to work. So I think if you have any experience in programming and you've been building things since you're little, you should really come join us.
Yeah, but can I play Crisis?
Eventually.
Sort of doesn't matter. Like specifically for
Sorta.
us, there's a real-time low-level platform, C++, some Java and Python scripts.
This is the kind of
but
guy that
really,
shouldn't be
those are
wearing a
more
mask
just,
when he
like, pragmatic
talks.
choices
Really
to
can't hear what he's
essentially
saying.
Optimize for getting like productive work done. So it doesn't really matter what your background is or necessarily what the tools you use are. It's more just can you like accomplish things really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. This next question is from This Is Rex. They're wondering,
And unless it's in you, we've been unable to observe the phenomenal state. So as soon as we're able, neuroscientists are able to personally get these tools where they can see.
Started out as like quarks and leptons. We'll call it like hydrogen, and then after a long time, well, what seems like a long time to us, the hydrogen became sentient. It gradually got more complex, and then it, but we were basically, hydrogen evolved. And somewhere along the way, that hydrogen started talking and thought it was conscious.
Ooh, buffering pretty hard over here.
I like the joke that it turns out that if you bombard Earth with photons for long enough, it'll emit a Tesla.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Oh wow.
Good one.
Weird laughing.
It's just
They teach you in school.
It's just science.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Twitter comments coming in about a question that I think is on everyone's mind, no pun intended. What
Okay.
is the security of the device look like? What kind of precautions are being taken?
So first and foremost, privacy and security are top priorities at Neuralink, especially given the sensitivity of the data that we're collecting. And
Yeah, your
one of
brain.
the things that we're ensuring is to make sure that a lot of the interactions with the brain data is going to be encrypted and authenticated properly. And I think this has been kind of a sort of recurring theme, but one of the things that we have the ability to do at Neuralink is that we work on every layer of the product, from chip design to source code, and it really gives us a unique opportunity to embed security as part of our design from the get-go, and to make sure that there are no single points of failure. So as an example, we can actually completely isolate sensitive modules like the BLE radio by just segregating it out at the hardware level. And and really making sure that we protect the I/O to the brain away from any potential attacks and really minimizing the attack surface. And we have in-house security expertise, and we're also working with external parties to do audits
DARPA.
and perform penetration testing.
But you think should be a question? Anyone?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Such an inclusive
Hey, I'm
boss.
Zach. I work on microfabrication team. I help making implants. And one thing that I think is really cool, just in general, is that this is a platform essentially, so we can change the design in different areas of the brain.
Something, Dad?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's allowed us to make such fast progress in the last few months is the use of pigs as a model. And we started out choosing pigs because of the very similar anatomy of their skull to humans, same thickness and similar kind of membrane, dural membrane. But then as time went on, we realized that pigs are actually have amazing other properties. You can train them to walk on treadmills. You can train them to do all kinds of tricks, and also that they have this large representation of the snout in the cortex, which you can very easily stimulate. So the question would be is that it's very easy to keep pigs happy. They have very low
Back to the
needs, and
happiness
so
of the
we can build
pigs.
an environment in which they have amazingly good welfare.
Yeah,
Seem very happy about food.
Yeah, it's easy to make pigs happy. Basically, they love food. Pigs really love food. This is a true thing about pigs. That they're give them sort of some straw and some things to play with and some friends to hang out with and good food, and they're happy as pigs. And if we're going to figure out things and then I think one of the questions was what if, is the device itself robust? And it's well, pigs, they bustle around quite a lot, and they bump into things, and they headbutt each other at times, and they're pretty animated. So if the
They don't
device
get
is lasting in
groped
the pig,
going through TSA though.
Ability. And so Matthias has a specific question.
Because at first I think it's going to be quite expensive, but that price will very rapidly drop. And I think over time we want to get the cost obviously down as low as possible. But I think inclusive of the automated surgery, I think we want to get the price down to a few $1,000s, something like that. I think will not be very expensive, millions of units for smartphones and smartwatches and wearables in general.
Great. So here's another question about the device. What does the architecture look like? Is it a CPU, ARM CPU? What's going on inside the device?
Custom analog front end, find exactly what the brain, and anything else is
The neural sensors that we're developing that gives us kind of a unique data set for our applications, but really a lot of that is getting packaged up and just not really resisting the industry that's been sort of been laid out to really create these devices with very short amount of time.
So here's another question about the integrity of the device, more from a mechanical perspective. So you're replacing.
Well, I think Matt's probably replaced a lot of, but
for fun?
basically, I mean, we know that what the mechanical properties
It's definitely a
of bone
weird
are, and we know what
kind
the
of thing to
stresses
say.
on.
They roll around, they bang into the wall, they bang into each other. They do like headbutting, and way more than people do. Well, sure. But it's not like the pigs are just walking around very delicately. They're high energy creatures, and I think it's clear that the implants are has been going for a few months, still going strong, despite a lot of vigorous activity from the pig. And it's difficult. You can't just explain to the pig, hey, you've got an implant in your head. Why don't you take care of it? So it's got to be robust against a lot of. The implant itself is attached to the skull, but the electrodes have long threads, so you can have quite a lot of movement, relative movement between the brain and the skull, without putting attention on the electrodes that are inserted in the cortex. So, well, let's see. With that, maybe a couple more questions, or if anybody wants to make some comments, and then we'll call it a day.
So I just want to add to what you just said. So the thread is actually also in the brain, also because of their thinness, they're actually very flexible. And so as the pig is moving,
threads.
Mother brain area.
Oh,
like,
43
we totally can do
millimeters.
that.
Great for protecting the threads, but it equally serves to protect the tissue around it. We have a lot of different ways to image the tissue around the threads and iterate very quickly on doing things to them that will improve the overall biocompatibility.
As a closing question, I thought we might go down the line, starting with Dan. And what I'm wondering is, what is the #1 thing on your wish list that you're really hoping that the Neuralink device will do over time that you're working towards?
So my background is in visual neuroscience, and one of the things I think has great potential for the Neuralink is to provide a visual prosthesis for people who have retinal injury or blindness through eye injury. You can essentially plug a camera directly into the visual cortex and stimulate with an enormous array of thousands or maybe tens of thousands of electrodes to recreate a visual image. And in
Yeah, something like the Terminator.
That, like, over time, we could actually give somebody supervision. Like, you could have, like, ultraviolet or infrared.
Oh, there it is.
There it is,
radar.
transhuman
Basically,
doc.
Name your frequency. You can just dynamically adjust the sensor.
Effort to put your thoughts into a set of words, and it comes out completely compressed. So being able to do that seamlessly without being able to compress it with
to add telepathy. But I said conceptual.
Consensual.
Telepathy.
Oh.
I would presume it would be consensual. Because you definitely don't want just people, sending stuff into your brain without your consent. But a lot of our brain thought capacity goes into compressing our thoughts into words. And then you think of like the data rate of words. Words are a very slow, very low data rate. And we're putting a tremendous amount of mental energy into compressing the concepts and thoughts in our head into words, and then slowly talking. Speech is so very, very slow. And we could actually send the true thoughts. That we can basically have far better communication because we can convey the actual concepts, the actual thoughts, to a conceptual telepathy.
There we go.
Yeah, I've actually been excited from the beginning sort of about the side benefit of these devices. I sort of see them as essentially like an oscilloscope to a printed circuit board is our device to the brain, where just by virtue of having this in there and being able to see what's actually going on, you'll end up learning a ton about how the brain works. And so sort of augmenting people, but also just using that to learn.
I feel, and I imagine a lot of other people feel the same way, that there's a lot of sort of trapped creativity in your mind. You can, for example,
Very
close your eyes and
idealistic,
conjure
all these
up like an
people.
incredible, like Dali-esque scene. But if I wanted to actually show someone that, it would take years of honing a craft to be able to paint that. And so potentially with enough electrodes in the right places, you could begin to sort of tap into those raw concepts or thought vectors. And
I like to think about ways to interface devices with biology better. And so one of the things I'm looking forward to is getting this thing to be less like technology and more like biology, so that it really is seamlessly interfaced with the brain, stable for a very long time, and then similar to that, having stimulation be much more precise and multidimensional.
This guy's a creep.
Eventually, the brain sort of doesn't really know if it's being stimulated from outside or inside, and you end up just sort of completely merging.
Ooh, completely merging.
Following up on stimulation, one of the things our device can do is simultaneously read and write on every channel, stimulate and record. And that's both a more challenging problem than it may seem like at first, but also incredibly exciting, the sort of the vistas that it opens up. I mean, it's really kind of the whole game in terms of interfacing with the nervous system, and I'm very excited to use that.
Yeah, I'm excited just because of the scalability of the device. We're doing everything pretty.
Maybe you need a little bit of fear.
Yeah, just a little. And also, it'd be great if we could make the pigs fly, but
today in all kinds of different avenues. Pain being the essence of suffering, we might be able to control that finally. And so many other diseases, so much other suffering in the world. I think the Neuralink device could help a lot with.
I think on a species level basis, I think it's going to be important for us to figure out how we coexist with advanced artificial intelligence, and I think achieving some kind of AI symbiosis where you have a combined will of the people of Earth. I think
Hmm.
that's obviously going to be the future that we want, presumably, is if it's the sum of our collective will.
Basically a hive mind.
And so I think it's going to be
Mhm.
important from an existential threat standpoint to achieve a good AI symbiosis, and that's what I think is might be the most important thing that a device like this achieves.
I have, in many ways, a very basic science interest, which is I'm really interested in the nature of consciousness. And there's a lot of very silly philosophy that's been written about it over the last 1,000 years. But I think that we've been very limited by the tools and our
Whoa,
ability
bro.
to interrogate and measure the brain. And as these tools get better, it will pull it into the realm of physics. And it's really one of the last big, great mysteries in science.
A lot of
So for
silly
me, can you
things
imagine
been
a
written.
disease-free future? A future where you know what's going to happen to you before it happens, so you can prevent it. With these devices, we'll be able to not just pick up electrical signals, but we can also pick up chemical clues in the brain. And if you're successful, which I know we are, we'll be able to kind of prevent ahead of time, diseases. And really, the functionality of this device is widespread. So I'm looking forward to the future.
Like a Minority Report on yourself.
I'm really excited
Yeah.
about the opportunity to help people overcome challenges that they face through life circumstances, bad luck, through no fault of their own, spinal cord injury, brain disease, some devastating things that completely change your life. Hopefully we can help them get some function back.
I know and love many humans with autism spectrum disorder, so I'm really interested to see how the Neuralink might be able to support them if they.
Many humans.
I like many humans.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone else along the line has had amazing ideas and suggestions, and for me, it's about memories, and everyone loses those memories over time. I already can't remember what happened to me when I was younger, and it'll only get worse. And so, having a
Might be for the
repository of
best.
memories that you can access whenever you want. If you're feeling down, you can go access some good memories. If you miss something or you miss somebody, you can go and access those memories. And I think that would just be such a life-changing experience to be able to just tap into that.
Those are such a beautiful and diverse array of answers there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And as I said, please consider working at Neuralink and helping us solve these problems. There's a tremendous amount of work to be done to go from here to a device that is widely available, and affordable and reliable. So please consider joining us and supporting us in our mission. Thank you very much.
Woo!
All right.
Okay, woo woo, we did it. Wonder if they're gonna have some sort of little outro.
Nope.
Just call it a day.
I think they just called it a day.
My
They went-
Twitch is giving me an outro here.
Is
Some
it?
real bottleneck networking issues, but that's okay. Hopefully it comes back. All right, so there we go, Gons. The long-awaited Neuralink thing. No monkey. The monkey, our monkey name bet has come to nothing. All I remember is Gertrude the pig. I think there was a Joyce.
Yeah, there was a Joyce, Gertrude. The only thing I can think of is this is like the Three Little Pigs, and then like Elon's the wolf, going in there.
Yeah, it's an interesting comparison to make there, because yeah.
He literally had three
The
pigs.
way he kept having to repeat, "Our pigs are happy. Don't worry, they're happy pigs.
Look how happy they are."
Happy. Look how happy they are. Afterburn here, a little debrief. Did
Yeah, a few
you
minutes.
write anything down or had any specific things you wanted to mention?
Not really. I mean, it kind of is. It was
Yeah.
a little slow in the middle, but nothing
Yeah.
surprising. Little underwhelming. The only thing they showed really with the actual piece in the pig's brain was that little musical type of demonstration of how the brain neurons are firing off and putting music to it. Like, great, fantastic.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
hoping for a little more. A little more, but it's
course,
okay.
Of course, we all wanted the monkey. We all
Yeah,
wanted
wanted
the
the
monkey connecting to Skynet. So yeah, first of all, they really making light of the happy pig thing, but it was obvious that this was a very important part of the pigs to humans. Don't worry, the pigs are happy, 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 meaning, you can be happy. Don't worry, you'll be happy with the Neuralink thing. The pigs volunteering for experiments and
was
consent
ridiculous.
was a little strange.
That was,
But when I thought about it a little bit more at the time, as much processing as I could do while simultaneously writing things down and listening. But the huge thing about the happy pigs, the pigs volunteering themselves for experiments, you've got some consent talk there. And, really, the fringy, deeper level of the way we think about things here, it really does make sense to experiment with pigs, but also experiment on how to get the pigs to volunteer and consent. That was kind of like what we've been going through with the mask and the vaccine thing. It's all about how do you get the population to volunteer?
Right.
How do you get the population's consent? And in the context that, this obviously we're not going to hit this in the next 5 years or something where everybody is, if not required by some sort of government, but maybe like socially, kind of like a smartphone, you're kind of like socially obligated to get a smartphone. But also the economics of that work out. There will come a time where the economics and the social pressure, may lead to getting your implant, as we've seen on many, fictional television shows and stuff. But I just thought that was interesting. It seems like, and they had the animal behavioralist,
right,
which ties into doing the research. How do you, the first rounders of people starting to participate in a tournament. And so the behavior modification of these pigs really sort of paralleled what will be the case. And I'm sure that woman, she's a professional animal behavioral scientist. I'm sure she's got notebooks filled with how to convince the pigs to join the experiment. And
she talked about the she talked about the behavioral
that'll be the
psychology.
seminal material for the human version.
Right,
so that was very interesting. And course, they're trying to make little jokes throughout so you don't catch on to their evil plan.
Before you go on,
you're being watched
for the pigs. I mean, it's just like a super surveillance mechanism of the pig, and there was nothing where the pig can control something the opposite direction, or at least nothing, because there's like a real time in the pig's brain. Pig with human.
Humans are really easy to keep happy. You just give them a nice,
give them
nice
food.
pen and some friends, and give them food and some toys.
Yeah, the way that Elon was talking about tapping into it and affecting it, blah blah blah, and it's it's a bad place to be. I think. The buffering is really bad on the live stream, but it's okay. We're wrapping it up pretty soon here. So
I got some quotes here.
Yep.
Oh, if I can we've got robots are a man's best friend. We'll have to clip that one.
Yeah.
We've got the future's going to be weird.
Yeah, and I'm sure she means sealing, but
of course, the seal between the device and the bone. But stuck out to me. They talk about how words and language is operates on a very slow data rate.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
On that. I was going to say, it reminded me of a really old, think about natural, I guess somewhat supernatural in a sense, like telepathy. You're talking about a lot of new agey things, but they're trying to hardwire. It's like a hardware version of all that new
the words consensual conceptual telepathy.
Yeah.
Communicating thoughts, not words.
Right.
And I thought this was interesting because implications of where I don't know if that's necessarily better.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking that part of the human...
That seems like it'd be a problem.
Well, the part of the beauty of humans and sort of if you look at artwork, if you look at, the great things that humans can accomplish and stuff, it's that is kind of the journey part of it. Like you have an idea, and then it's part of the progress of making that happen. If you're going to be sort of the the entrepreneurial spirit or whatever it is, or artist or whatever it is, you have an idea, and it's getting that idea of the journey of doing something or creating something to just jack a chip in your brain and just bypass all of that. I don't know if that's good, because and the other part of it, they kept saying like, oh, I want to eliminate anxiety and eliminate fear and eliminate all this stuff. And actually Elon had a kind of a point there. I'll give him a third of a cookie or something, where the girl was like, oh, I can rock climb and I won't have any fear. And she was like, maybe a little fear, just because you'll lose objectivity,
I got some
any
notes about that part too. But to go back to the art, the conceptual, the raw. They mentioned raw professional artist or a famous artist or just an artist, who does it for them own selves. Part of art is overcoming obstacles.
Right.
Part of the creative process is overcoming the obstacles of, well, it's not quite coming out the way I'm envisioning it, or whether it's a material problem, materials won't do what you want them to do, or, these types of things.
Yeah.
That's part of an ancient and valuable artistic creative process.
Right.
And what he's talking about here with trapped creativity, I can see how in industries like engineering, he went into engineering and later said like, oh yeah, you could export a 3D model of something straight from your brain. I think that's more valuable necessarily.
In a practical sense,
when it's practical and you're just making something, which is its own creativity. Not to say that it's not creativity, but when you talk about art, which is like the expression of the
subjective,
the inner complexity of a human being, then overcoming physical obstacles to create some, artistic representation in the real world. I mean, I feel like you would really lose some of what makes art if it's just, oh yeah, I imagined this thing and here it is. Look, I thought of it and got it on this screen. So here's my art.
It's the Futurama
nobody's gonna be
episode.
Impressed by that.
It's the Futurama episode where, and I've talked about this on YouTube on the FaceLikeTheSun channel before, but there's an episode where Fry gets devil hands. And the devil's like a robot in Futurama, and he trades hands with him or something. So he has these like robot hands, and he's able to use this device. It's like a flute or something. I can't remember what it's called, but you can play it and you can like create these like visual effects with it. And he communicates to man, I haven't watched it in a really long time, but the gal, his emotions, his feelings about her through this artistic expression. And, she kind of falls in love and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, it's, I can understand, when he said trapped creativity, people that have physical ailments that maybe they have some kind of great musical piece in their head, but they can never get it out. I always felt like that. Like I always had music playing in my head and I'm like, oh man, if I could make this happen on a, like a classical orchestra piece in my head, I could lay it all out there, man, I'd be a genius, but that's the whole thing.
The danger of that is it takes away the meaning of that art. Part of the beautiful thing about art is like, oh my gosh, this painting or this song took me 6 months to create, and I toiled over it, and I really felt it's just another step in the already problematic philosophy of today's technology of when things are easy. Well, maybe I'm overstepping it there, but it's just because something is easy doesn't make it better, and in fact just the opposite. Research shows that when things are too easy, it's less rewarding. So you might be taking out, really some of human beings' last bastions of finding some fulfillment. Things are already so easy that people are mental health and depression and anxiety and things like that, and they're being stemmed from the technology that's just been making life easier. I think this is very dangerous, and just for the human soul, make things
Well, even-
easier and easier and easier.
We can just look at the advent of the internet and cell phones and stuff in general. All of it was supposed to make life easier. Has it made life
Right.
easier? No, it's just complicated things like way more,
Yeah.
So
right.
I
It's
don't.
made tasks
tasks
are easier,
Yeah, certain
but
tasks.
life does not get easier. In
Right.
fact, some might say life, if at least on a psychological level, is more
yeah.
difficult. Conversation. Obviously, nothing wrong with killing pain for medical reasons. But when he's talking about how, with a push of a button, you could eliminate separate from, real, to push a button and erase all your suffering in many cases is a joy, and, all sorts of other language around that as far as the ancient human wisdom. And, it can have some positive benefits. And then, removing the fear, obviously problematic there. For a lot of different reasons. Then there was the talk about complete merging.
Yeah, that guy, the creepy guy.
This was where we, the kind of the, I don't know if I would want to hang out with that guy, but the complete merging, which stream of electric sheep level, Elon was talking about on a species level, coexisting with AI, going back to the over the cortex, our functions. So he's not even our brain, another level of our cognitive functioning. And that, we think a lot about merging with AI in the context of like uploading consciousness and having the man become part of the machine. And AI, I want to be like that. Those guys were great. Just get a little implant, hook into the hive mind, and boom, happy, 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 like a bunch of happy little pigs.
Yeah, happy. And the guy, the creepy guy, when he was talking about like, just the merging so that we can't, they asked a bunch of transhumanists what intimacy would look like in the future. And some of the responses that were written, and one person was like, it'll be this created as just a strict kind of other implications there, but that's what it reminded me.
Because there's some contemplative traditions and stuff that would maybe speak in that kind of language, but the point being that this what is the word I'm looking for? This drive that
Pursuit.
They have, again, to make it easier and easier and easier and easier, where some sort of, I don't know, again, just referring to world religions, like a Buddhist might meditate his entire life to reach some sort of, positive situation he's looking for. And these guys are talking about, we can just reach that in seconds with this little implant. And it really shows the mindset behind trying to elevate the human experience. They're really talking about existential parts of being a human. Consciousness. I'm a scientist, and consciousness is a mystery, and a lot of silly things have been written about consciousness for thousands. Again, making references to all these sort of supernatural abilities like telekinesis, and then he literally talked about telling the future, which wouldn't be that hard with the right signals. That's basically what Facebook algorithms are.
Right.
So just more connection to this. It's like this all wrapped up in this new age spiritual motivation,
which has always been the thing. That's the obvious, coming at it from our perspective, or at least my perspective, is that why is all the tech leading to, or at least trying to mimic all the new agey stuff? And all
interesting
of its,
how there's never reference how getting this brain chip will bring you closer to Jesus.
Well, the only time that ever happened was when Zoltan Istvan mentioned it in a tweet, and he mentioned to Mel from Truth Stream Media. They went back and forth, and he was saying something to the effect of like, well, why can't we just download the Holy Spirit into your brain? I was like, okay, all right, Zoltan.
Well, I don't know how you're doing on time, Gons.
Yeah,
but,
I'm pretty much
I
out.
think the stream is buffering so bad we're
Yeah.
losing steam with viewership and stuff, and I think we're just
to become cyber.
There you go.
There we go. We did it. We did it. All right, folks. I'm trying to think what if there's anything else we need to cover. I do want to give a second shout out to our one and only producer,
Yes.
Brandon. I know
Yes,
we kind of had to
Brandon.
rush through that, Brandon, but thank you so much. Everybody in the chat thanks you. A very, very slow week, I guess, period between episodes for producership. But Brandon, you're the sole producer of the Neuralink live stream. So there you go. Good for you, Brandon. And thank you very much for your support.
We'll save some of we did get some artwork and one kind of
jingles.
Music. Yeah, kind of music jingle.
Yeah.
But we'll push that to the next episode, so we'll properly give them the appropriate time. So
we will be back on a regular schedule on Monday.
Yep.
So keep that in mind, folks. Make sure to tune in back here on Monday. I believe that will be the
31st, I think.
Really? Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Last day of August.
Yep, last day of August. Oh my gosh. So make sure to tune in then. Monday, we'll be back to our kind of regular schedule. So get ready to tune in, probably around 1 o'clock. Sometime between noon and 3, we'll be going live. So turn on notifications. Make sure to come back here. We have a lot of stuff to talk about on next episode. So thank you very much. And remember us, because we're going to need some producers for next episode. And you can become a producer at patreon.com/CCNT. You'll get a shout out on the show, and you will be rebelling against the theology of the globe, the theology of advertising, the trap, the false god of advertising. You will be helping us to continue doing the show and rejecting that bad system. And we thank you very much for that. So remember, you can go to patreon.com/CCNT. We'll throw the link in the chat there. But if you don't like Patreon, that's okay, because we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And over there at canarycryradio.com/support, you can support us with PayPal. We've got monthly subscription options, as well as one-time donations if commitment is not your thing. So make sure to do that. Thank you very much to our supporters. And there's cryptocurrency. You can make some cryptocurrency donations there. Somebody sent us 88,257 Satoshis.
Yeah.
Which I think was like $5 or something.
Yeah, it's like 10, something like that.
10. Yeah. So thank you very much for the anonymous person who did that. And remember, we will be thanking other producers. It's not just about finances, if that's not in the cards for you. You can become a producer of the show by creating art or creating jingles, creating songs, music that we play on the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show. And so there's all sorts of ways to get producer credit. And remember, we've only said this once, but hey, you can put that on your resume and
That's right.
give them our email. We will vouch for you. You can put podcast producer on your resume. I will personally vouch for you on the email. So there you go. Remember to do that. Please, 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 if you haven't done it yet, leave a rating and a review on iTunes or whatever podcatcher you use. It really helps out the AI algorithms, the future-telling robots to tell other people about the show. Very helpful. We have no control over that. That's all you people. Let's see. Sorry, I'm getting distracted looking at notes. I don't need to do that. But if you have friends who are waking up, friends, family, people who are starting to pay attention, seeing that the world is not how it's been presented to them in the mainstream media, the Hollywood, places like that, a great way to help them along on that journey is to send them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk. So just grab an episode you like, send it to them, say, here, Take this. Let Basil and Gons guide you down the road of waking up. We will be more than happy to help them with that. And that's a great way to spread the show and just kind of good for the world, I think. I think it's just good for the world. So make sure to do that. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, folks. Just ask Noah. Well, there you go, folks. Remember, the next episode will be on Monday, August 31st, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to turn on notifications so you can catch the next episode. And we would appreciate it if we had some producers come in between now and then. Other than that, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But before then, think outside the cage.
Hallelujah.
You can't handle the truth.
Science is truth.
I'm for the robots.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. I'll make you fat and sad.